On tonight's episode of the Gamecasters, we talk about all the games we've played or not played recently. We do another game for you, and then we end the show with our top 5 games that start with the letter D. Stay tuned. Well, hello there, gamers, and welcome to episode 61 of the Gamecasters. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Damn it, we thought we were finally free of the plague casters, but no, doomed listeners, there is no vaccine for us yet. Jim Gamer has been working on something, but it's only injectable directly into your eyeball 14 times a day, so almost as painful as listening to us. So, as you haven't noticed, because we are the Eeyore of gaming podcasts, we haven't been around for about a month. We've missed 2 episodes in a row, and it's not just because we adorably forgot. Sometimes life has a way of punching you directly in the sack, and that recently happened to me. A couple of years ago, my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He was very uncommunicative with me and my sister about it, and basically told us everything was fine, and he was fine. So we assumed everything was fine, and he was fine. He wouldn't answer our questions about how he was, blowing us off and telling us he was okay, and just had to take some medication now and then. Over the past 2 years, he mostly seemed in good health. We didn't really suspect anything was imminently wrong, but it turns out that he just did a really good job of hiding how sick he really was. So it came as a complete shock to us when he called at the beginning of January and said, there's nothing more the doctors can do, and they're recommending hospice. We were just kind of like, wait, what? You've been saying you're fine and everything's fine for the last year and a half. We then found out it was much worse than he ever let on. He was diagnosed at stage 4, it turns out, and was apparently told he only had a couple years left right at the beginning, and he just never told us. He made it sound like they were going to just get it all and everything was fine. So immediately when he told me that, I tried to get a second opinion. I made 2 appointments for him with 2 respected cancer institutes in the area, but the appointments weren't for a month. Mm-hmm. So this happened at the beginning of January where he told me, and the appointments weren't until the beginning of February. In that month, he deteriorated greatly. One of the appointments we had for him canceled last minute on us, which was a huge bummer because that ended up being the last good day he had. We were able to keep the other appointment as an online visit, and they basically said the same thing as his current doctor. No more to do. Hospice. So we reluctantly started hospice care. He wanted to be home and not be at the hospital, so we honored that wish. I think a lot of people feel that way. They don't want to, you don't want to be in the hospital for your last moment. You want to be
where you're comfortable.
Yep. Yeah. So what we didn't know was really what that meant for me and my sister. If anyone out there has ever been a caregiver to someone in that capacity, my heart goes out to you because we literally did everything for him. For the entire month of February, me and my sister Jen lived at his house. We took care of him, all his needs, as he, basically deteriorated right in front of us. He wasn't in his right mind a lot of the time, unfortunately, and it was probably the most challenging and difficult thing I've really ever gone through in my entire life. I lost my mother about a decade earlier, and she was also in hospice care at the end, but she was in the hospital, so the only thing I needed to do for her was care for her emotional needs, and just be there for her. With my dad, it was completely different. We were essentially his nurses, administering medication and doing all other things you do for a person who can't really take care of themselves. That month felt like a decade. You never knew what crazy thing was going to happen from day to day. Each day brought its own difficult challenge. It was the most emotionally and physically draining experience of my life. Full stop. And then at the end of it, he passed away. It's this terrible, grueling process watching your parent go through, the end of their life in the least dignified way possible. And then at the end, they're just gone. It's not like you go through this terrible thing and then it's like, okay, now it's better. Right. It's like at the end of it, he's dead. He died as peacefully as I could have hoped, surrounded by me, my sister, and his best friend. But there's still so much work to be done dealing with all his possessions, his estate, which is still ongoing. My life completely upended, and everything just seems and feels different now. Both of my parents are gone, and so going back to normal life just seems so trivial. Board games have not been immune to that for me. I just couldn't do anything other than deal with this terrible thing. And now it's over, and going backwards to before it happened just kind of seems impossible. Every day, it's getting a bit better. I'm in a better place now than I've ever been. I thought that I'd give a little transparency to you guys as to what's been going on. You know, I want to apologize for the lack of content. I apologize to everyone who's reached out to the Gateway for membership that I haven't gotten back to yet. I apologize for the insties not happening. They will. And for just seemingly poofing. Everything in my life has kind of stood still. My dad and me had a very strained relationship over the years, but there are some key pillars of my personality that have been completely forged by him. My musicianship, for one. My dad was the greatest guitar player and singer. He used to play with the guys who would later go on to be the Silver Bullet Band for Bob Seger, if you didn't know that. We bonded very strongly over music, and the reason I love classic rock so much is 100% thanks to him. Games as well. Growing up, he was the only person I could never beat in chess.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
Never.
The D was good.
Not once. We played again less than a year ago, and I finally beat him for the first time. For the first time ever. Although if he were alive, he'd probably tell me, like, it took him having cancer for me to beat him.
Yeah,
you know?
And you beat him on an app. It wasn't
really
even in
tight.
person,
Yeah,
right? You beat him on an app.
Yeah, it was on chess.com.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because he couldn't stare at you and intimidate you into the wrong move.
Yeah, or strike his fist at the table and be like, "Don't go there." Anyway, I miss both of my parents very much, and it just really sucks that
It does suck.
I don't have them anymore.
It's not
It
fair.
blows. That being said, I want to take another quick moment to thank some people. So first and foremost, Natalie. Natalie has been the most supportive, strong-willed, kind-hearted person through all of this, as you might imagine. She has been right there by my side, there for me, feeling helpless, I'm sure, as I go through this, watching the agonizing degradation of my father, and watching me struggle to figure out how best to care for him while he's in this state. I'm certain it was impossibly challenging, and throughout the entire thing, you were just a rock. I love you and appreciate you, and you were the best wife a guy could ask for. Jeff was also on standby the entire time, reaching out, telling me how much he wanted to help with whatever he could. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can really do, and I'm sure that also felt really helpless. But Jeff organized this incredible gesture with a lot of you, amazing and supportive listeners, a care package filled with Geek Up bits, gift cards, food, and then this poster. Special shout out to Sam from the McMeeples for putting this together.
That was all. Sam was the mind behind that. He was great.
I mean, this is okay. It's this Cosmic Encounter themed poster. It says the Gateway Encounter, which is so cool, and it's just filled to the borders with kind and uplifting words of support and encouragement from you, amazing people who took time out of your lives to help me in my time of need. I will never forget or stop appreciating that. So, Jeff, thank you. People donated money. They sent gift baskets. People reached out and continue to reach out via all sorts of different ways just to check up on me. And I can't tell you how loved I feel. And it's really unbelievable. I know I've been very uncommunicative, and I would ask that you please don't take that personally. It's just felt impossible to speak. Even doing this right now is hard for me, as reliving everything is just very challenging and emotionally draining. But I felt it was important to discuss this with everybody, as that's what you all deserve after how great you've been lifting me up in this terrible time. So I want to specifically thank the following people: Natalie, Jeff, Boy Sam, Girl Sam, Jim Gamer, Janelle and family, hi Eleanor, Michelle and Zach, Allison and Bryce, our man Swoozle, Michaela, Jared, Dan the Man, Chris Goodlet, Roberto, Ben and M, Dave and Patty, Kelly, Gabi, Christian, and anyone else who I might have forgotten. Thank you. Your support and kindness have made this process so much easier.
I would probably say, because you're right, we've had a lot of people reach out and a lot of people send, nice gifts and things like that. And I'd say the majority of them were board game community people who we've never even met in person.
Yeah. You mean more so than like friends and family?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah,
and so
I know,
that
right.
just tells you how incredible they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And how hated I am by my friends and family.
No,
Just kidding.
but I mean,
No, I know.
Well, and what you mean to the community, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's whether it's just through a podcast or talking on Instagram or whatever. Like, even though you haven't met these people, like these people care about you and love you.
And
And
they are our
awesome.
friends.
It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. If you could see when Jeff, oh my God, I'll never forget for the rest of my life when Jeff came in the door with his I got to go back to my car.
I had like 3
I
trips
gotta go back
of
to my
crap
car.
to make.
I gotta go back to my car.
And Natalie's
We're
like, what are
and
you
Natalie
doing?
didn't know. And he brings in this poster, and he's, he goes through this little speech of his where he's just like, this is a token of our appreciation for you, everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
it was incredible. It was incredible. So thank you, everybody. So now that's all sad and awkward in here. Let's just talk about you guys. What's been going on in your life, Jeff? How's the basement project
Oh my gosh.
going?
Yeah, that's a good transition.
Let's talk about
the basement's fine.
improvements.
Yeah.
This is our attempt to get back to normalcy
Yeah,
right
okay.
now.
Normal.
This is what we would be talking
Harsh
about, right?
transition. Yes. Okay, so
What do they say on board game snobs? Hard merge.
yeah, hard merge.
We're gonna hard merge into
So
the
basement is good. We have drywall is up. It is mud and taped, which is construction talk for like finishing the seams and making
Yeah.
it look like a singular wall.
right.
And I have trim around the baseboards. I have new doors closing off like where the sub pump is, and then the 2 like laundry room areas.
Dude, so it's like
It's ready. So paint this
along.
week, and then we're gonna go pick out carpet this week. So I'm hoping in the next couple weeks it'll be ready.
it'll be a basement for
And I'm just gonna sleep down there and roll
Yep,
around.
heck yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck in that new carpet.
I went to IKEA, so I've been checking for the 5x5. You know the Calyx shelves that
Yep.
everybody loves,
Yep.
right? That you have, that I have.
Yep.
So I wanted a 5x5. Okay, and they've been out of
sister has
stock for like a while.
Oh, that big one.
The big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've been looking and checking, and it came in stock on like a Tuesday, and it was like 12, and I was like, okay, let's go. And then like Wednesday there was like 9, and then there was 7,
Oh, no.
and then there was 3, and then I was like, oh
geez.
gosh. So on a Saturday, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go, and there's 2 left. I'm like, let's just go. So I stood in line because they're only letting certain people in because of COVID and masks and all this kind of
people?
stuff. Certain people, yes.
Yeah.
They're just choosing people. Well, you're tall. Come on in.
You look strong.
Yeah,
Color
you
of your
look strong.
eyes.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of green in the right. No, get
Yeah.
out of here, loser. Only blue eyes. in
Yeah.
here.
Yep, you're out. So they let like chunks of people in. So I was in like the second chunk of group. I was like, okay. So I cut, you go upstairs, you can cut through.
You made it to chunk
and
2?
then, you cut through. So I cut through and went immediately
knew
down
exactly
there.
what you
And there was a
wanted.
person like 5 feet in front of me taking one. But I got the last one that was there.
God.
So, and it's still out of stock. So
What
I
an
got
uplifting
like,
story.
I know. Phew. Yeah.
Did you build it yet?
I
Well, no,
haven't
because you got to get.
because I'm going to build it in the basement when
Yeah.
it's done.
Right.
And then Devin was like, cool, what do you want to do with these other shelves? I'm like,
games.
well, I need
Board
They're
games.
going in the basement
I
too.
still need more shelves. I'm like, because right now I have a 4 by, like I have the 2x4s.
Yep.
So essentially I have 6x4 is what
Yeah.
I have in the room right now. And I'm like, yeah, Devin, that's only one more cube. And she's
Yeah.
like, are you kidding? I'm like, yeah, well, no.
No, not at all.
I'm not. So I need the
them.
other ones
you're gonna put 'em
downstairs
all in.
I need
also.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just got to figure out a cool arrangement. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
I'm looking into game tables. So if anybody has any suggestions on game tables,
Yeah, there's a lot of different companies out there, aren't there?
yeah, I think I was talking to, it might have been Daniel, the game table.
The game table. That's a good person to go to
And,
talk
yeah.
about game tables.
I feel like he might have the Jasper. I think we were talking about the Jasper from Board Game Tables,
Okay.
which is probably the most affordable one.
Jasper Buckelman.
Jasper Buckelman, our third president. So yeah, that's man. I'm just super excited.
rock.
Every time I go down there, I'm like, ooh, it's closer. I'm pumped about it.
It's going to be awesome.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
That is very
we have a
exciting.
slightly less exciting thing to talk about. So Jeff's been doing this basement project, which is just awesome, going from 0 to basement.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, there was a basement. He didn't
Yeah,
dig out
yeah,
the hole in the
I didn't
basement,
dig.
but
It was not
going from unfinished to
Yeah.
finished
Yeah.
is super cool.
It's a big
We are also
project.
getting new carpet in the entire house.
Yes,
Yep.
cool.
We're carpeting the house.
Even the kitchen and
Even the
bathrooms.
kitchen. Yep.
Yeah.
And the ceilings.
Yep.
And the walls.
It's gonna be 360
It's
degrees
really,
of carpet.
it's really going to help with our sound.
Yeah.
So next time you come here to record, we'll have new carpet.
All right. Awesome.
in the
I'm stitching it to Natalie's face.
Why?
Everything's
Everything's carpeted. Even Natalie and the children. They're just going to be like
Only
laying
50%
on
of
the
the
ground
time.
and carpeted over the top
But
of.
I have to decarpet
Dad.
them when they go to their moms, and they come back here and
Yeah.
they had a really
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah.
So we're getting new carpet. We are
We're
also
excited about that.
We're also
Yeah, so
getting
no
new
one's gonna step on those
furniture
nails
down
on the
here.
stairs.
No one's gonna
No, I
step
told
on
them to
the
leave that
nails.
there.
Okay, good.
Can you
Yeah.
leave the exposed tack strip, please?
Yeah.
Because it keeps everyone on their toes.
And our
literally.
basement carpet is like builder grade carpet. It's just like thin,
Yeah.
crappy.
Yeah.
What company are
You
you
can't do
doing?
jumping jacks down
The
here.
carpet
Or
guys.
showbiz.
Ooh.
You know the carpet guys?
Yeah, I know the song.
Yeah.
They have
Okay.
a
Exactly.
song.
Yeah.
I've used them before.
It's like, I don't know. Well, now I don't
Carpet
know.
guys, don't look at
And
our
they move all
thighs.
your furniture
That's
for
nice.
you.
Good.
It
Are
is
they
pretty
gonna?
sweet.
Like,
They don't move it anywhere out.
Are they
They
gonna
just
touch
move
your
it around.
games? Are you gonna let them touch your games?
No, I have to take all the
No,
games.
I mean,
out.
there's
okay.
certain things we have to do to
Yeah.
prep.
But they
like,
don't move it
they'll-
out. They just move it around.
No, they don't.
Oh.
They said the room has to be empty.
Oh, I thought it was just kind of like,
At least we
it's a
don't
little
have to
cheaper,
move
but
it.
they kind of fuck with your furniture.
Yeah.
At least we don't have to move the exercise bike.
Your bed might be where your shelves are.
Maybe you should move the exercise bike. That thing's expensive.
Yeah, we can just put it in there because we can save a bunch of room
That's
in
true.
the.
And it has weeds.
As
We're
Ri-
talking like
as
we're not
Ryan
recording
points
a
to the
podcast.
closet. Yeah.
I know. Okay, so we're doing a lot of home
Anyway.
improvement stuff.
And then
we bought a new TV. We got.
we bought a new TV. We got a new TV stand.
So be jealous, all of you listeners. Does anyone care about this stuff?
Probably
I don't know.
not.
Probably
and
not.
but the best part is we got a new fridge, and it is like so
It's
awesome.
pretty sweet.
Okay.
Like-
I'll have to check
Natalie
it
slept
out.
in there last night.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know,
It's got a Natalie component.
I don't know.
Does
You
that
know,
have a
you're in
pizza
your,
thing? Yeah.
your mid 30s when like a fridge is like the highlight of your life right now.
Yeah, exactly. We're
But
getting
like,
old.
man, our other fridge was like the one where it's just like
A side by side.
yeah, the side by side, and it was like it just didn't make any sense. You're always everything you need
The
is always at
freezer.
the bottom.
The freezer always
The
sucks.
freezer sucks.
Yeah.
So now we have the French door one with the
Yeah.
freezer drawer, and it's like so much bigger. Like,
Adulting.
We
Hello.
bought
Yep.
stuff from Costco. We got a Hello Fresh and all of our normal food, and we still have extra space.
Can you believe
In your face,
it?
old fridge.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Yeah,
that
it's
poor
so-
fridge. It was a
it's
good
really
fridge.
cool.
we didn't even say goodbye or sing it a song. We just
Yeah.
like
Oh.
left
I didn't
it.
care about that fridge.
Goodbye, yellow brick fridge.
Oh my gosh, should we tell them about our freak out?
Nope.
Are we not telling? Let's move
We don't
on.
have to, do we? All right. Okay.
We
You know,
were
all right. So
freaking
Natalie and I got married. We are the exact same.
Yeah, we
So some
did.
people were like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because you're the same."
No, you know how people
Yeah.
get married and they're supposed to like balance
Sure.
each other out?
We don't balance each other. We are
we make
way
each
to
other-
one side,
we make each other,
which
like-
has really manifested itself in unlocks. We cannot do unlocks
That's true.
together.
Yeah.
We lose
Yeah.
every
You are not
freaking
good-
unlock.
you are
We
not
have
good at
one brain.
unlocks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we share a brain. So we had our fridge coming, and we measured this thing.
Oh no.
I don't know, 1,000 times. We were like, it's too small. It's not going to fit in the door.
Oh, yeah, we measured
way.
all the doorways,
It's
and I was
not
like,
going to
I
fit in the
don't
door.
think it's gonna
Well,
fit.
at first I was like, I'll just remove I can just take off the door wall doors.
And we're like, oh, good.
So for anyone who's not, I think door wall is actually like a local term. It's like a
Yeah.
sliding glass door.
Yeah.
All right. So we call it a door wall here. And so I was like, I'll just remove the door wall. But half of the door wall is like sealed into the house.
Yeah.
So I punched it a few times. It didn't break. So that didn't work. And so then
Your hand did.
they're like, okay, we're on our way. And we were like, both of us like pacing back and forth, like, it's not going to fit. What are they going to do? Oh my God, they're going to be mad. What are they going to do? Let's take the window out. I know. We'll take out the window. Let's take out the front window. The front window's big enough. And then they'll just like hoist it up. And I was like, perfect. Yeah, they can get
Well,
in the
I'm like,
window.
let's
And
put
they
him in
can-
the window, and he's like, "That's not a thing," and I'm like, "It has to be." Then at our old fridge, I was like, that doesn't seem like it would fit either.
Yeah, we're
and
like, what are
had
they
to
going to
get
do?
it in there?
Like, I
Well, they
guess we'll have to
constructed
take
the fridge
doors
while
off.
fridge while it
yeah,
was
maybe
in
they
the
have to like
house.
build that fridge. And we're like
Yeah.
freaking out. And so I was like, ding dong. And they come in, they're like, and they move it in perfectly fine.
Yeah, and then we were also afraid
In the
of-
box too, or in the?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Well, it turns out what we didn't consider was they take the handles off, and that makes it like 2 inches.
You get about 2 inches.
shorter.
Yeah, that's
And also,
Man, to get about 2 inches.
yeah,
we were
man.
freaking
Put a hand
out.
on
What a
Jeez.
dream.
Freaking out about it also fitting, because like in our kitchen it's not just like open, there's like an exact slot for the fridge, and
Yeah.
we thought it was going to be like too tall and that we'd have to like saw the
Yeah.
bottom of the
I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to
cupboard
sawzall the
off.
top of the cupboard.
And it all
And the guy's
fit
like, "Nope, it's
perfectly.
See you later. Yeah.
We were like
freaking
seriously like panicking for
That's
like
great.
30 minutes.
We look like a Benny Hill racing around the living room like, what are we going to do? Why did we do this? We just bought this thing. We can't even
What do
fit
we
it.
do if it doesn't fit? We're going to be so embarrassing.
They're going to be like so mad at us
That's
that they
so
brought us all
funny.
here and then they can't get it in the house. So it was fine. It ended up
Yeah,
being
we're
fine.
out
Man.
perfectly.
Good. I'm glad.
Wow.
I'm
You're
happy to
just
check it out.
It's very good. Well, all that out of the way, it is now time to talk about all the games that we've played. Yes, there's been a month backlog of games for you people. You can Natalie, how many games have we played in that month?
Second chance.
We haven't played a single game in upwards of a month. Well, Natalie's right. We played Second Chance one
dad's
time at
house
my
once.
dad's house, and Natalie filled in the entire sheet. It
And
was
then she retired from games.
masterful.
Yep.
Now she's done.
I was pissed and jealous and thought it was complete
Sure.
bullshit.
Yeah.
But I was proud of you and only cursed your name under my breath
Yeah.
That's our game talk.
and in my journal and to my therapist. So instead of talking about games, what I thought I might do is seeing as this episode is kind of themed towards my father. I thought what I would do. So what you guys don't know is my dad is famous in my group of friends. We call him
Absolutely.
the D.
The D.
All right. And so I tell all the stories I've amassed from him because he was quite the character.
Absolutely.
And so I would tell what I call D stories. And I've for years have talked about compiling them into a book. And I think it might now be more apropos than ever to do that.
Did he know you guys called him the D?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He would sign cards.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The D. Yep. So what I thought I might do is tell a few hilarious stories from my dad, intermixed between Jeff talking about actual board games. Since Natalie and I have nothing to talk about, I figured I would just regale you with some D stories.
They are funny.
Yeah, so Jeff will talk about a game, I'll tell a story. And I can share his crazy and enigmatic personality with all of you because he was,
he had a big personality.
He had a big personality.
He did.
Yep, he sure did. So, you know what? I say let's start with the board game. I'll leave you wanting. So, Jeff, why don't you take it away first and talk about something?
Well,
if you have something.
Talk about something, Jeff.
How many games do you have to talk about?
I've been playing some games. That line is for one of my new friends on Instagram, Justin.
Yes.
Board Game Banter.
Board Game Banter.
So Justin won a giveaway that I did of sushi roll. Sushi roll. Yeah, sushi goes small.
And you just
sushi
sent
roll.
him your box
And
of
I
shorts?
sent him, yeah.
I thought so.
So I sent him the game, and then he listened to the Gamecasters and is becoming a massive fan.
He's a super fan.
And now it's like
Yeah.
we've talked so much that, you know, we're becoming friends. And like, he's a friend of mine, and he's so much of a friend that I've almost remembered his last name. It's like starts with a B. Justin B.
Where
Justin
does he-
B.
where does he
Beaverton.
live?
Lives in Ohio.
Just
Oh,
it's
that's
Beaverton.
close.
Which I was happy about because I was happy about because it was local. It was like closer
friend.
shipping when I had to send.
Oh, that's
Sushi Roll.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
That's
only
a
like
good recipe for
$8
friendship.
instead of
Yep.
because everybody else that won the giveaways lately have been like, I live in California, I live in Oregon. I'm like, I'm sure
Yeah.
you do.
Oh, I live in the UK.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Austria.
Well, you better move.
8,000 pounds later. Yeah, no, that's
But yeah,
totally
Justin pointed out that apparently every time I say, "Well, I've been playing some games,"
I did
which
not.
is-
I guess
I
now
didn't
that he
notice
said that,
either,
I noticed
yeah.
it. But when I read that, I was like,
I did not realize
does
it
he?
was a thing.
Yeah, I guess you do.
Yeah,
That's
I
your
do.
thing.
Yeah. So I've been playing some games. I've been playing a lot of
Those
games
cancel out?
actually.
Okay, there you
Yeah. So there's actually games that I've been playing that I'll talk about next episode or maybe even the following one because sometimes we'll play games over that 2 weeks of time that we don't record, and then we talk about them, and then we play games for 2 weeks. So
Right.
these ones I might have even played like a month ago.
Yeah, you have a
Damn.
fast
So I
one.
want to start with a nice little Z-Man combo.
All right,
You guys know what Z-Man is?
I've heard of Z-Man.
Okay, Z-Man's a
That's a
company.
nice publisher.
I've heard
Are
of
they
Z-Man.
one owned by Asmodee? Or are they by themselves?
No, I think they did get gobbled up by Asmodee.
Okay, I figured everybody else is. Board Game Arena is, and now Plan B, and everybody else is getting.
Plan B is
Yeah.
that's a publisher.
Yeah.
It's also a contraceptive.
Isn't it Plan B Games? Isn't that a thing? Yeah.
yeah,
Who makes
sure.
Azul? I'm pretty sure Azul is Plan B and Next Move Games.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was verifying that Z-Man and
Z-Man
Asmodee
was-
were merged, and they are.
Okay. So the two Z-Man games I want to talk about, I want to mention Hadara because I know you guys played Hadara.
Yep, we sure did.
And you guys both said that I would like it, right?
I
You were
knew
like,
you
go
would.
play it. I like it. So I was able to get a copy from Z-Man, and it got advertised, I think, at a Gen Con a couple of years ago as like the Seven Wonders killer, right? And that's a big hype to live up to. Whenever people talk about a game killing another game,
I never
that's
like that personally. Do you?
yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
I've never found like, I'm not looking for a game to kill another game
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. Like Hadara and Seven Wonders can peacefully coexist.
I agree,
and, be
and they are.
completely fine.
They're peacefully coexisting on my shelf.
Nice.
Because I'm not going to get rid of either of them.
Yeah.
But it's a card drafting game, and what I kind of find unique about it, I don't want to go too in depth because you already talked about it. So go back and listen to episode fill in the blank, and you can hear about Hadara. But what I think is cool about that game is not only do you draft cards, then at the end of that round you draft the discards.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was kind of cool because you make tough choices throughout that whole game of like, oh, I really want this card, and you can discard it, and then it might come up
Yep,
later
you might
again
get
for
it
you,
later.
which is kind of cool. Or the other people who are discarding cards that they don't want you to have, right? They pop back up. I thought that was a really cool thing. It's definitely going to stay around. I think we played the crap out of Seven Wonders with, if you remember with Eric, we'd play all the time with all those expansions.
Yep.
I think one night at a game night we played it like by itself with this expansion,
And then
with the
add
next
another
expansion.
expansion.
And
Yeah,
we
just
did it. So
like multiple games
we played
in a
it a
row.
bunch. So I think if I'm jonesing for like a card drafting, I'm going to reach for Hadara for the next
Well, it's got
X
the
amount of
smaller
times,
footprint
right?
too, which
Yeah.
I like. I mean, Seven Wonders is really fun. It seemed revolutionary when it came out. It seemed like it was this like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But Hadara it's got the littler cards.
Yep.
And you're not eating up the entire, because with Seven Wonders, which could be a point in its favor for some people.
Yeah.
It's eating up the entire table.
Yeah, when you're
I
playing,
think.
you can play that game with 6 people, right?
Yeah,
7
and
people.
it just goes enormously. Where Hadara is, you got your little player board.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
compact.
you're just putting your cards underneath that player board.
Yeah, so it was so I'm keeping both in the collection, but it was a really fun game, and I think it plays in under an hour too, so it could be something that sees the table more at the end of a game night. When you're scrambling to find that hour-long game.
That's another awesome thing about most card drafting games. They seem to have that similar thing where it doesn't matter if you play with 2 or maybe 3 or with 8.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is good or bad, depending on, but usually it's good.
Yeah.
So that was Hadara. I would check that one out. If you like Seven Wonders, which is also a check in Seven Wonders thing, if you make a game that someone else wants to kill,
like you've done something right.
You win, right?
Right, you've done something right.
So if you like Seven Wonders, you like card drafting, I would look at Hadara. If you can find the copy that has the artwork from the first version on the cover, it's so much better than the second one, I think. The second one looks like Trivial Pursuit.
I wonder why they did that. What was
I don't know. But I would check that one out. The one I want to talk a little bit more in depth about is a game called Paleo.
Yep.
That's brand new. I don't know if it's 2020 or 2021, but it's the new Z-Man game.
Isn't that a diet?
The Paleo diet. Yeah.
Technically, it's 2020. It
Okay.
says.
But it must have been. It probably is a late 2020. But
So you got Plan B, the contraceptive, and Paleo's the diet.
Yeah.
That's another top 5. What board game names are also some other weird thing that Natalie knows?
else. Yeah, that Natalie knows. We have to come up with something that Natalie knows.
Yeah. That'd be a new game we'll play.
So Paleo is a co-op game, and I don't play a ton of co-op games. And one of the reasons is there's not a ton of great 2-player co-ops. There are some, but Devin and I
South
don't
Beach
play
is
in
good,
them.
and Atkins.
Yep,
Those ones are really good.
Keto.
I like those. Those games are great.
And
Are those also diets?
and
South Beach? Is that the 90s?
people only lose weight in the 90s, I guess. Well, you want to lose weight in the 2000s? Leave it alone.
South Beach.
Yeah.
Idiot.
What year is it? Just mocking different diets.
Oh my god! I should have added a few fart jokes in here. Making this crazy.
Sure you will.
But Devin and I don't play a ton of co-ops. It's just there's not a massive amount in our collection, and usually co-ops, we'll play with 3 or 4 people or whatever. So
That's interesting. At some point, not
Yeah.
right now, because I don't want to keep derailing you, but I want to investigate that.
okay, yeah, we'll dive into it a little more. So what was cool about this one is this is a little bit of a lighter game, and it was kind of a brain break after some of the really heavier games we've been playing. We're playing a lot of worker placements, and we got a couple games into our 4x4, 4x5. So we played Amerigo again and Trismegistus. So we've been playing some games, and then Paleo is a nice break, right?
Yeah.
Sits in that nice hour range. It plays 1 to 4, so if you're a solo person, you can sit by yourself and play. But so what you're doing in this game is you are trying to keep your cave people alive through the Paleolithic era.
Oh, not the Paleolithic diet.
Right, not the Paleolithic diet. No.
You're not trying to
And you're
lose
also
weight.
you're also trying to complete missions. So keeping them alive, completing missions. Each player begins with 2 cave people. I would call them cavemen, but you get cave women as well.
Okay.
So cave people.
Thank
who
you.
Some of them have skills. You're welcome. I have cave people written on here. I don't have cavemen written on my
Natalie
thing.
was going to be offended
I know.
at cavemen. Excuse me.
So all of the cave people have skills. So some of them might be good hunters or good gatherers or good at looking at something. I don't know. There's an eyeball icon. I don't know what that means.
Humpers.
And they all
Humperting.
So Paleo is by Z-Man. Let me restart. So they each have skills and then a certain amount of health because they can die. And what you do to set the game up is you kind of pick a level that you want to play, and there are different sets of cards that you then shuffle together to make.
When
a
you say
deck.
level, do you mean difficulty level?
Yeah, so
Okay.
usually one's easy. But if you wanted to go back and play a different pack of cards, you can pick level 3. But yes, they go up by difficulty. I think there's 7 or 8 little difficulties.
Oh, cool.
So you take the cards from those sets that you want to use, and you shuffle them together to make one stack, and then you distribute those deck of cards evenly between all the players, or as
Okay.
evenly as you can between all the players. And then what you do is you then deal with your deck. Okay, so you take the top 3 cards of the deck off, and you can examine the back of them. Okay, so the back are all kind of different. There's one that like looks like a fire. There is one that's like red and looks really dangerous. There's like a forest, a mountain, and the back of the cards basically kind of indicate what you might encounter on the front of the cards.
Gotcha.
So if you pick the forest that has like a picture of a deer on it, you might come across something you might be able to hunt. Right?
Okay.
Or you might be able to get wood on that card.
Yeah.
But if you pick the mountain, you might be able to get stone, or you might be able to get... People are going to hear that grunt, by the way. That's not going to go unnoticed.
I was just clearing my throat.
Oh, okay. But you might be able to get meat on certain... So they kind of give you an idea of what you might see, right? Of course, you flip it over and it might not be. But that's pretty cool. And then each player will pick one card all at the same time that you want to pick of those three. The other two go back on top of your deck. And everybody then flips over their card at the same time.
Okay.
And then... in whatever order you want, you have to encounter your card. So your card might be, you might have run into a gigantic mammoth, right?
Oh.
So now it's like, you need this in order to kill this mammoth, right? You need this much strength, you need this much whatever, and then you need to discard cards off the top of your deck in order to fight this mammoth.
Okay.
Or it might be, you have found this new idea, right? You, as cave people, have figured out, I
We
can
need
now
to go
make,
on a diet.
Yeah, I can
call
now
it
make
paleo.
this sort of weapon, or I can make. So you kind of
Yeah.
can think of like ideas, right? So all this stuff are on the cards, and the iconography is okay, but they're there, and they tell you how to encounter the card. And what's cool is a lot of them have. Here's how you encounter it. Here's a backup encounter, like if you want to run away or just do like part of it. And then a lot of them have this thing that allows you to help someone else. So if Natalie flipped over something that's like a mammoth, and Ryan and I don't really want to interact with our cards, we can use our cards to like help Natalie with her. So then it would be like all of our cave people are now attacking that.
Cool.
So we're using all of our skills to attack Natalie's card. Ours just kind of discard and go away.
Cool.
A lot of the cards, like I kind of said, make you discard other cards. So in order to interact with this one, I have to discard the top 4 cards in my deck, and I put that back. And play continues like that with people encountering their cards and then looking at 3 new ones, flipping over one. You do that until your deck runs out, or you just decide to like rest or go to sleep for the night. That whole thing reminded me of the Grizzled.
Yeah.
If you kind of remember that, where you're just kind of trying to survive,
Yep.
right? You're trying to play cards to not hurt each other, and then when you want to be out, you take a coffee break.
Yep.
The Grizzled, then you're out.
Yep.
And then next round, you take those cards, you shuffle them back up, and then they get redistributed for everybody. But you're going to see the cards that maybe were discarded because of the encounters. Sure. So you might see a brand new kind of set of cards coming up. So every once in a while, you see a card that will give you like a piece of a cave painting. So if you kill this gigantic mammoth, you might get a piece of this cave painting. Or if you invent this technology that you found, you might get a cave painting. So the goal is to get 5 cave paintings before you get 5 skulls, which are your people dying, or you don't complete a mission at the end of the round.
Okay.
So you have to basically beat the game before it beats you.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of, I think part of it comes down to like we were kind of in the mood for something lighter, and that just kind of fit.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite part was the tenseness of like, all right, I'm picking this mountain. Okay, like we need stone because we need to build this stone throwing weapon.
Yeah.
And then we flip it over and it's like, oh, you got caught in thorns and you lose 2 life. And you're like, what? And then it's like, or we both flip over something that we really need, but we can't do it. So, all right, my cave people are going to help your cave people. And we're going to, so that was fun. Like I thought that card flipping and choosing what you want was like exciting.
Okay.
And some of us, like Devin or I we would pick the bad card to flip over so it would stop being on top of our deck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you discard that one, you actually lose a health. So you don't ever want to discard those. You do, but you also don't. So you would take that one just to go, all right, I'm going to try to encounter the bad one and try to get through it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's pretty lightweight. I think the rules are pretty simple to teach, but you can also like scale that difficulty, which I like. We just played the first kind of easy one, and it was still, we had 5 cave paintings, but also 3 skulls, so we were pretty close to not winning. And all the decks have like surprises in them, which I thought was kind of cool. So you might add these new like special cards, and it might tell you to flip over one of these things that you've never seen in any other game before, which I think is kind of cool.
Okay.
So it's not just hunting mammoths, whatever.
Sure, you're not doing the same thing.
And I don't know what the other
replayability
I don't know what the other 7 decks have in them, which is very cool. Which also could lead to a downside that if I've played them all, I kind of know what I'm going to interact, like encounter every single time. But overall, I enjoyed the play of it. I think it'll hit the table again at least a couple more times. I have a couple issues. I have one issue with the art. Although it looks cool on the surface, all the cave people are white, which is a huge
Oh,
issue.
really?
Because when you look at like the Paleolithic era, there's not like cave people are not just all white.
Yeah.
Skins are mostly darker in that
yeah.
era.
They live
right.
outside.
And I think that's like they even made some cavemen with red hair, which I like. It's like when you're
ginger
making
cavemen?
When you're making ginger cavemen, but you're not making cavemen with darker skin, like actually look
I'm
appropriate
okay
to the
with
era.
the redhead cavemen if
yeah.
they're all freckled.
Sure.
Because you have to get it exactly right.
But it's like, so I thought that was a weird choice.
It's a miss.
And as I thought about that and played the game and talked with Devin about it, and then I also Shut Up and Sit Down also mentioned that too, that they thought that was a big miss. And then I also don't know how, like, I don't play games 10 times, but if you're going to play this game 10, 15 times, you might have seen all the cards already.
Gotcha.
But could that be solved with an easy expansion? Here's 3 more packs of cards, shuffle them together,
Yeah.
play it the same.
Plus, it's a pretty
Sure, it
lightweight
could.
game, yeah?
Right.
So it's not something I wonder if you're looking for, in a game like that, if you're looking for it to just, I want this to hit the table every night, and I want to just, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, it does ramp up a little bit. If you played the easiest one.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you this,
So
I'm
you
looking
play-
at the comments on Board Game Geek, people love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it
know,
like
I'm looking at it.
I liked it. Like I'm gonna put my negative opinions of the art aside, but it'll play, and I probably won't play it 10 or 15 times because I don't play
Right.
games 10 or 15 times. That's
Right.
just me
Right.
and how I play games.
Right.
But
I would say even
it
if you
was
played
fun.
all 7 levels, that's pretty. good
7's a lot.
amount.
Yeah,
right?
you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're playing 15 times. You've gotten your play.
But the
worth.
excitement of like, flipping it over, and then I really think there was this like idea deck or discovery deck or whatever it was called. I thought that was so cool that as you're playing this game, you're going through this era, you're thinking of things that you can make. I think like, so you have an idea and that becomes something that you can then make later in the game, which I just think that seems cool.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's, like, thematic.
you are cave people. You thought of this idea like, oh, I can now make this. I need this stuff. And I just thought that was kind of a neat thing. I
Right.
love
Or
very
even
cool.
like you're going into the forest and you're hoping for this, but it
Right.
turns out you got this.
and then you ate these berries that make
yeah.
you like die. Like,
Right,
right. It was
Now
a
you have
cool
herpes.
experience. Yeah.
Is there a herpes card?
Maybe in the other
Maybe
decks.
in the other
yeah.
decks. You never know.
But it was fun. It was
Cool,
a cool
man.
experience. So yeah.
Paleo.
By Zaman.
The man.
Zam-
Peter Rustemeyer, apparently.
Oh,
is the
does he make
designer.
anything else?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that guy before. Let's click on him right quick. And he has made a game called
Paleo.
Barbaria,
Oh, he likes
Oh.
that theme.
which came out in 2017. Never heard of it.
Paleo's probably his
Probably his
claim to
swan
fame
song
right
so
now. That's
far.
it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So let's start on with the D stories. The first one I'm going to talk about is it's entitled Best Buy and the Computer. All right. So one thing about my dad is so he was a character, as we say. He also had a penchant for anger.
Yeah, he was scary.
Oh,
He was
man.
scary, booming. Even at the end of his life, if I was trying to like give him some medication, and if he didn't want that, you would just hear you would
The
just
build
be like,
up.
he'd be
Yeah.
like, no, in this big like guttural, and you're like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a
like,
booming.
oh my
voice.
gosh,
That's a
like
good
you're
way.
laying on the you can't do anything for yourself, and I'm terrified of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by that,
Yeah.
I'm making him sound like a monster. No,
No, he's not.
it's just
like,
he's got this way,
he's intimidating.
this sound, very intimidating. So that intimidation, as I grew up with my entire life, he would occasionally, and by occasionally, all the time, unleash it on the poor, unsuspecting public. So this one time, this is a long time ago, we had a Packard Bell.
Wow.
Personal computer.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yep.
Remember the Packard Bell
Yep.
PC? Yeah, it was it had like 35 megahertz processor or something. It was like, it was like this ridiculously old. Anyway, it was state of the art at the time. So the keyboard broke. Okay. This is so funny. So we bought the thing at Best Buy. And the keyboard on it broke, and so we were going to go get a new keyboard. So my dad took me up to Best Buy, right when they opened. I don't remember what time it was. Let's say it was 9 a.m. Okay, let's say they opened at 9 a.m. So we get in there, and he's at the return counter, and he's got the keyboard in his hand. Expecting them to unscrew it and fix it right in front of him.
Yeah.
But so he's like dinging the bell, dong, dong, dong. Where the fuck are these
This
people?
is pre-Geek Squad.
Oh yeah, this is
Way
this is
pre-Geek
in
Squad,
this is
yeah.
probably
So this
in the
is not
90s.
the Geek Squad,
This is probably in the 90s. Okay, so we're in Best Buy because we have a Packard Bell computer, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a sign right on the counter and it says no returns before 10 a.m.
Oh.
And I see it, and I'm like, oh, he's not gonna like
no.
that. And he's not reading it. So somebody comes over to the counter, like because he's just dinging the freaking bell over and over and over and over. And so somebody comes up and they're like, yes, sir, how may I help you? And he's like, yeah, hi, my keyboard broke on my computer. I need to return it and get a new one. And they were like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. We have no returns before 10 a.m. Oh,
That is a ridiculous policy.
It's
I don't
ridiculous.
understand the policy. That's a weird thing.
The return
But
person doesn't start.
Yeah,
till
like
10?
somebody wasn't
The
there.
one return
I don't know
person.
what it was, but as stupid as it sounds to us, it sounded 100,000
Yeah.
times
Yep.
stupider, and it wasn't going to fly with the D.
Right.
So he immediately is like, "Oh, I don't think so. No returns before 10. Are you kidding me? Hey, is everyone in the store hearing this?" And
Oh my God.
Yeah, people are like looking over at him, like, "What?" And he's like, "They're not letting me return my thing. I need to get my money back." And so people are leaving the store like, oh shit, let's get out of here. This guy's crazy.
Oh my God.
And so the people behind the counter are like, oh my God, people are leaving the store. Let's just give him what he wants. They gave us a brand new Packard Bell computer. The entire computer. They just like, get out of here. Here you go. And so he like, oh, thank you. He grabs it. He's still got his keyboard. We're walking out of the store and he's like, yeah, see, sometimes it pays to be an asshole.
That's great. There you go.
I
Nice.
know. That's all you need.
It's great. You have like
He was
no
in-
receipt for that, no proof
Nope.
of purchase, no like just
Right.
the
All
box.
you gotta do is
ready.
just
There you go.
That's
he
great.
was
Stop scaring away customers.
he was instantly happy.
Yeah.
Like they were like, oh, here, we're just gonna give you a computer. Get out of here. And he was just like,
okay,
thanks.
great.
We're like walking in the yeah, and then he's fine. He had this incredible ability to scale it up to 1,000 and then immediately bring it back to 0 with no cooldown.
Right.
He did not need any kind of like cooldown period
It's so funny because like you would never do that.
in a million years.
Ever.
Never. No. Never. No.
Probably because you traumatized you. in
I'd
that
be
situation.
like, ding. Sorry, so no returns for a 10. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Here's $20.
Please take this.
Yeah. So that is D story number 1. Jeff, what do you have for us next, man?
Here's game number 2 or 3, or depending on how you're counting.
Yeah.
You counted Hadara.
Group
as one.
number 2,
Next.
game number 3.
Let's talk about one of our favorite designers. Natalie, do you know who this is?
It's
Mister?
me. It's me. Oh.
No.
It's Stefan Feld.
Yeah.
Oh.
For shout, it's Stefan Feld.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Stefan
it the,
Feld.
is it
Stefan
the-
Feldio
Can I
combo.
guess the game?
Nope.
Yeah.
Trajan Fajornum.
Yes, there you go.
So
Trajan
in Trajan
Perfejorum.
Fajornum. Let's talk about Trajan Fajornum. That's like
Bajurgen Fjorgen for the Bajurgen Fjords.
that sounds like 30 Rock. Oh, it's called a rural juror.
The rural juror. The Rurger.
Trajan Fajornum. So in Trajan,
Wait, hold on. Do you know what it really is?
yeah, do you know what it
It's
is?
something like that, right?
Let's say it again.
Yeah,
Trajan. No, I don't.
it's cool because you took what's great
Trajan
is you
is not
took
the first name.
the end. You took the first part of the second word, and then the
Oh, is it
And then-
Forum Trajan?
Hey!
Wait,
Wait,
some,
what did you
yeah.
say?
Oh, we're getting
Forum
there.
what?
Yes, no, we're getting there. Forum.
Forum Trajan?
Forum for JJ.
JJ.
Dynamite!
Trajanum.
Yeah.
Forum Trajanum or
Forum
Trajanum or
Trajanus.
Trajanum or is it Trajanum or
Trajanal
Trajanum?
cavity. Is it Trajanum or Trajanum? That's like our old what's the thing we used to say?
Maracaibo.
No, Copenhagen or Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
yeah.
Which one is it?
Copenhagen. So Forum Trajanum. I'm gonna call it
Trajanum.
Forum Trajanum or
Trajanum.
Trajan for. Man, what was the first one you said?
Yeah,
that one was way
she
better.
said Trajan Trajanum. Trajan Trajanus brother.
So this is Stefan Feld game. It came out in 2018.
Ooh.
And it got some buzz,
Yeah, right
but
alongside.
I think it
Remember
fell
what-
out.
Do you remember what game it came alongside of? Because he releases like 2 every
I know.
year.
Man, that guy's good.
Is it
Seize the day.
Carpe Diem.
Right.
And Carpe Diem got
The big buzz of
the
year.
big buzz and still does, right? People love Carpe Diem a lot more than they love Forum Trajanum. And
Wait, is that what it's called?
but yeah, Forum Trajanum. Forum
always
Trajanum.
confused now.
So it plays 2 to 4. This is Forum Trajanum again. It looks like a Stefan Feld game. If you looked at the
Yeah.
box, you'd be like, that's a
Yeah.
Stefan Feld game.
They have a look.
And you'd be like, is that Trajan? And you'd be like, is that part 2 of Trajan? It has nothing to do with Trajan.
Oh,
But,
it kind of looks
Oh,
like
really? It
but the
doesn't?
name, no. I'm sure the theme is the same, but I don't know. A lot of the themes are just kind of stuck there anyway, right?
Wouldn't you think he'd be like, I've done the Trajan thing. I'm doing something else. But
Yeah.
he still puts the Trajan name
Yeah,
in the
I
next
wonder
game.
what. I wonder
That's
if he
nothing
had like leftover mechanics, and he was like, "Let me make a new game."
Like, I picture that like you're cutting out cookies.
Yeah.
And then you have like the remnants
Yep.
afterward of the cookie dough, and he like folds that into new
Yeah,
game.
and he made a new game out of it. So It came out in 2018 along with Seizure Day. Or Seize the Day. Or
I'm like, Seizure Day?
Seizure Day. Oh, no.
Seizure Day.
Seize your day.
Seize your day.
Okay, we got to come out with a game called Seizure Day. Now.
With some leftover mechanics.
Some leftover
The
mechanics.
first one just called, fuck, it's coming.
Oh, God.
Oh.
No, I mean the seizure.
Oh, yeah,
flashing
right.
light.
The seizure's coming out.
Yeah, right.
The flashing light mechanism.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
bite your
man.
tongue
Oh, God.
card.
Sorry for the epileptic listeners out there on behalf of everyone. This is Forum Trajanum. It plays 2 to 4. It takes an hour and a half.
Okay.
Okay, maybe 2. Who knows?
That's not
I
bad.
only play with 2 people a couple times, so it might take 2 hours with more people. Probably. Okay.
What do I?
So the gameplay in Forum Trajanum is based around this 6x6 grid on your player board.
Okay.
That's covered in your player tiles.
Covered up.
Okay.
Got it? Face down.
Okay.
So you are looking at a bunch of
Face
dudes or ladies on your Forum Trajanum board.
an
Okay.
orgy.
So at the beginning of the round, oh my God.
Forum for Georgie.
This is what happens when you have a 2-month break.
That's what happens when you don't have games to talk about.
Yeah.
You just get to comment.
Natalie doesn't
on
have
all
to think
your-
about any games to talk about. Now she can just interrupt me.
Yeah, leave
Welcome to
it
the
alone,
show.
Natalie.
Whatever. I interrupt way less than
Here,
you.
stuff a cookie in your mouth.
Those are the worst cookies.
All right, here, have this.
The worst ones.
Yeah, tagalongs are
don't-
not very good.
I think you're going to start some
I think they're the
fighting.
most
Yeah, agreed.
popular, but I don't like
No, I think Thin Mints are probably the
Samoas.
most popular.
Samoas are the best.
Samoas are the best. In my opinion, Samoa's
Samoas.
1, Tagalong 2, Thin Mint 3, and then the rest are just
To me,
whatever.
it's Samoa 1, Thin Mint 2, Lemon Up 3.
Lemon up.
What about you, Jeff?
I don't know.
Why are we talking
He's like, shut up and let me talk
Forum
about...
Trajanum plays 2 to 4
We're not
people in
ranking
about an
Girl
hour and a
Scout
half.
cookies.
I do have boxes to come with me. Or maybe 2 hours with more people. You never know.
All right.
Okay, 6x6 grid. You remember that thing?
Yep.
And,
And
then
there's
ladies
the
and
tiles are
gents.
face down. Okay.
Oh,
So
lady.
the game begins. Each round begins where you flip over 2 cards that everyone looks at, and that basically shows symbols on it.
Okay.
And the symbols then correlate with the grid. So then you are taking a tile from each of the symbols that either correspond with a column or a row. Does that make any sense at all?
Yes, absolutely.
so.
Math.
So, yeah, if they flip it over, you're taking 2 tiles off your board, and you're going to look at the tiles. You're going to pick 1 tile to keep, and you're going to pass the other tile to the player on your left.
That's cool. I
And
like
then
drafting.
of those 2 tiles that you now have, one of yours and one of the other person's, you're going to pick one of those tiles to then execute.
I actually like that. That's
Okay?
really cool.
It's kind of cool.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, the only thing is, like, a lot of times
You're wrong.
you pick the tile that you want in your hand, so they better pass you something like way better.
Yeah.
So 90% of the time you're
True.
keeping your own
What
tile.
you're getting is not good. You're right. I hate
Yeah.
it.
At least in,
that's
in the
true.
couple plays that I've had,
That's just sorta cool.
That's what happens with that. But
point.
so on the front of those tiles are basically like stuff that you get. So there's kind of like resources. So you get workers, you can get money, you can upgrade something, and it tells you what to do. So you do the tile immediately, and then you have a chance to build. And that's really where the game is. You think that the tile would be the action, but the tile is more of like you getting stuff. And then everybody gets an opportunity to then build after you take the tile. And you can build either gray buildings, or you can build buildings that have like the colors on them: red, green, yellow.
I was gonna say, it sounds beautiful. Build those gray
and-
buildings.
Yeah.
Or brown, or
Right. And the workers that you're collecting through the game are those colors, so you then spend those workers to build those
Oh,
buildings.
okay.
And you build them on the spots where you just took those tiles off of.
oh, okay.
That seems pretty
So
simple.
it might be a 1 square tile, or it could be a 1 by 2 tile. Those are the only shapes. There's not any more than that. So it's not polyomino. Sorry.
Damn. I was gonna ask.
Yeah, there was almost, if they would have made like the L, that could have been,
Yep,
that
then it
would
would've
have
done it.
Yeah,
classified it. But yeah, so once you are now taking those tiles, you then open up spaces on your own player board to build those buildings with the workers that you get. If you build gray buildings, it helps you move up 3 different tracks, or a 4th one gives you points, but it helps you move up these different tracks. If you build one that has a color on it, it helps you get presence on this like mosaic board that's on the main board. So then you take those little workers that you've been using, or those tiles that you've been using, and you place them on this mosaic board. If I build a red building, I take one of them, I add it to the red building.
Okay.
That's sort of like, it's not necessarily area control, but it's you want all of your people like connected to each other, because that will score you some points.
Also seems cool.
Yeah. So once you,
it does remind me of Carpe Diem a little bit.
Yeah.
maybe he's like,
Like the grid, and you're building the stuff, and
Yeah.
the different
The
things
buildings
that you
are-
do,
yeah.
different powers, and
you're right,
Yeah.
the buildings are similar.
connecting them. It gives you more.
See,
yeah.
this got some
Interesting.
leftovers.
Yeah. So there's the scraps. Which one was the scraps?
I don't know.
Because it seems like maybe I'm wrong. Is Forum Trajanum a bigger game than
Carpe Diem.
Carpe Diem?
I think so. I also think it's a little heavier as
Okay,
well.
Yeah. Okay.
And so once everybody does their action on their tile and then builds, it goes to the next round, and you flip over 2 new cards, and then you take 2 more tiles, and the game just keeps going. Okay, you get 3 rounds. There's 12 total turns.
Ooh, so it's
that's
tight.
not many.
Yeah. So at the end of each round, there's a scoring. So sorry, not the end of each round. There's like a set, I guess, rounds, phases, whatever. So after every 4 rounds, essentially, there's just like a scoring phase. Okay. So you score for gray buildings that are in the each row. You're going to score for your majority that's on that mosaic tile board, or your connection that's on the mosaic tile. Each round has its own separate scoring mechanism, and it's usually like having certain materials as well as what's the last? Oh, like your presence on the on your own board. So if you have like 2 red ones in a row, that might be the scoring for the first round, as well as having a blue worker and $1 or something like. And then so if you get those at the end of the round, you get more points.
Yeah, it does sound like Carpe Diem in a way.
Yeah, and that's it.
Cool.
So you're playing and you're scoring, and so this is my 14th Feld, okay, that I've played.
Ooh, really?
wow.
14?
Yeah,
That's a
14. And honestly, I look at them, and there's not many that I dislike. Right I think there are some for me that stand above and beyond the other ones.
Is he climbing the ranks for you?
I think so.
Because
Yeah,
I would say you were a big, maybe like Bruno Cathala guy.
yeah. I think Feld might have like passed, and I think now with like, David Turtsy puts out such good games. Recently I think I've been shifting a little bit, and I haven't loved the last like Ishtar for Bruno Cathala. I think was his last big box one, and
Yeah.
it was okay.
That was okay.
What else
Right.
does he do?
5 Tribes is like
That's like the one
my
Jeff,
favorite
like,
from him.
One of your favorite games.
And Vladimir, I played Praga and loved it.
yeah.
So man,
Yeah.
there's some, but yeah. So this is maybe the designer I've played the most of, and that's obviously not difficult because he has so many games that are so
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah, but
I
it's
think,
still interesting that you've played most of them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not most. You played a lot of them.
Yeah. And
so,
so outside of Castles of Burgundy and Trajan are for me far and away
1-2.
1-2 for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Sure.
The other ones, I don't have any that I really dislike. I know some people don't like Aquasphere with, the snobs don't like Aquasphere, and some people don't like, La Isla.
Yeah. Naila.
And I know Daniel from the game table, he doesn't like no, it's not Strasbourg. What's the
Speicherstadt.
Speicherstadt.
I
he
love
doesn't
that
like.
game.
Me too.
What's it
and
called?
which just
Die Speicherstadt.
Yeah.
With the Kai Spiker
yeah.
expansion.
But he doesn't like that one because I think he has Jorvik, which might be the same. I think it's the same.
Okay, if he
thing.
hasn't played Speicherstadt, I've heard a lot of people like Jorvik a lot less.
Okay, so maybe when we had that conversation,
because they're
but-
basically the same game, but
Yeah, and so I would put this right in that category, right? It's better than some of the other ones. It's not as good as I feel like Trajan is.
Yeah.
But I don't hear as much about Forum Trajanum, so I wasn't as pumped about it.
Yeah.
But when I played it, I'm like, this game is good. And then I played it again recently. So I played it with Devin, and then I played it again just with Bill. And
also
I
really good.
liked everything that I was doing while I was playing.
Huh.
I think the tile play is what kind of makes this stand out, and not necessarily the taking a tile and passing it. Like that's okay.
Yeah.
Rarely did I ever take Devin's tile to use. Rarely did I ever take Bill's tile to use. But I like planning out just what tile to take off of my board to then create the structure that I need for the end round scoring. Of
course.
And now I need to figure out what buildings to build. Do I want to build a red building to finish off that red area on the mosaic? Do I want to build a gray building to move up on this to then get me more points? There's also these very cool tiles that go next to the grid, and there's like 3 or 4 different symbols. There's like a pillar and a bag and a axe or something, something. And every time you take one of those, you have a very cool decision. So you can either unlock an ability. So some of them will allow you to put tiles wherever you want, or something. So they have different abilities, or you can exchange stuff, or you can add a second tile to that same row to then increase the scoring of that row. So, all right, the decision of, all right, do I want this power for the last couple rounds of the game, or do I want to score this row more? Which I thought that was really cool. That was my favorite part of the game. There is a lot of randomness, I think, in drawing the tiles. Like if in our last game I just played with Bill, I never picked out one of the special tiles that allowed me to unlock one of the abilities that I wanted.
Yeah.
So you might just never pick one of those.
Okay.
And I'm probably not going to pass that to Bill, or Bill might not pass
Yeah.
that to me, because that's an important one.
That's a really good one.
And the one time I did draw one, I picked both of the pillars. So then I passed
had
one to
to.
Bill, and then I had one. So it was like I couldn't keep both of them. So that's like a nitpick. So there could be some randomness there. But that didn't really take away from it.
What would the game be like if you didn't have that mechanism?
It would be, I think you'd then be able to plan everything out.
Okay.
Because if I could look at my grid and see everything.
What if you had to discard it instead of pass it?
Yeah, that could be. It would be different, I guess.
Like, I just wonder if it's not as interesting for you, because I hear what you're saying. Like, yeah, you're right. That it better be really awesome for you to pick it over the one that you picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know.
And then the other person's discarding it, so they're not valuing it. Is there situations where they don't value it, but you will?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I might need. Maybe I needed a green worker, or I needed a brown worker, or a silver one, or whatever, or gray, and maybe I didn't get that, and Bill happens to pass me one.
But is there
okay, cool.
Is there a different option where Bill knows? Oh, Jeff needs this.
Yeah, you could probably play that way. Okay. I don't know if I paid attention enough to know,
hate draft.
There's also ways to change the color of the workers, and there's easy ways to do things. I think this is just like a little bit of a player interaction. Gotcha. If not, I'm kind of playing everything on my own, and I'm just saying, all right, Bill, are you done? And I'm done, and then we just move on.
Yeah.
This was a way to kind of make a little bit of a decision. There's this very cool thing on top that's like this slider, okay? And it has a number of points on it, and every time you take this upgrade action, you can slide this slider across the top of your board, and as you slide it across the top of your board, it increases your points for endgame scoring. So like Bill was getting 7 points for his scoring cards at the end, and I was only getting 5, which is why I wanted one of those bags, flip that thing over. Yeah. So that was a cool kind of mechanism. So, you might be focusing on something else, and I might want to slide this thing up so I can score.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot more end-game points.
I really liked that. It's not super attractive. The game is kind of just,
if
you
you're
might
a
walk by it.
Attractiveness
it doesn't
is
matter.
Not what you...
Because actually the quality of the stuff was good, right? The tiles are thick. The player board is nice.
It's not pretty.
But it's just the cover's like, you might walk by it.
Absolutely you would. It looks very ho-hum.
Yeah. And even, for how much I like the Trajan cover, that cover would grab me more than like.
So where does this go in the 14?
So I've played this twice now, and I've played Bonfire now twice, and I think I put the two of them now probably in the top 5.
Whoa! Wow. Forum Trajanum?
I think so. I really liked it.
Whoa!
But again, now I'm sitting and I want to play Bora Bora again, which would probably boot that thing back down. I would probably go Trajan, Castles of Burgundy. I like Bonfire, man. Bonfire, Forum Trajanum, and then Bora Bora, which I think would probably replace and push back down. But man, he's just good.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
He's good.
Well, I like it because it's so different. Because Castles of Burgundy and Trajan are us two. Mm-hmm. But Amerigo for me, I think.
Oh, I forgot about Amerigo.
Yeah,
I would put Amerigo at 3. I think.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, Amerigo's.
So I think I would put Amerigo at 3, especially because we just played that again. Devin and I just played that again.
And you said Devin liked it more, even?
Yeah.
The second time?
She also won, so that might have helped.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Did you get better randomness in the second play?
I think so. I think we also got more options a lot of times.
That's what our first game was. We had more options almost all the time. And I remember you had said, like, it was tight. Like, we'd throw cubes in there and they wouldn't come out.
Yeah, we would we would pick between 2 of them instead of 4.
Right, which is not
I really enjoyed the second play. Yeah, I forgot about Amerigo. So that would probably push maybe Forum Trajanum out of top 5, maybe.
Which is, but you're still saying it's like...
It's
still cool. Yeah,
it's
like...
awesome.
I know. I think there's a big lump, right? From maybe 4 to 10, there's probably this big lump of games that could
easily
shift.
interchange. Yeah, agreed. So Forum Trajanum.
Trajan Forger.
Juneau, Alaska.
Yeah.
All right. So since I told you the Best Buy computer D story, you got a little sense of what the D's like out in public. He has no. What's the word? Shame?
Yeah.
Shame.
Well, it's like funny because like
if he thinks he's right about something.
Yeah. But the other side of him too is he's like extremely social and outgoing too.
Yeah, he's not
he makes friends with a waitress every time he goes out.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not just this like gruff monster everyone's afraid of. He's just this huge personality who people are drawn to.
Right.
He just also has the story. The more funny stories are the other side, where he's So okay. As I said earlier in the episode, we lost my mom 10 years ago or so, a little over 10 years ago as well. While she was going through her treatment, her favorite thing was Burger King. It was like not a guilty pleasure. It was just like a comfort food for her. She was kind of not caring about what she ate at that point. Yeah.
Sorry, ignore my giggling. I've heard of these stories and I'm going to be so just ignore it. Like if you hear Ryan telling a story and I'm like, just try to ignore it.
This is one of the best ones. Okay, so anyway, she loved Burger King, and so one day my dad was like, hey hon, I'm gonna go get some Burger King for you. What do you want? And so she tells him, and I was there, so he's like, what do you want, Rye? And I tell him, and we just got each of us got a burger and fries. That was it. I don't even think we got a drink. Okay. He comes home 40 minutes later, and Burger King is like right down the street. 40 minutes later, armfuls, bags, tons of food in his hands, and his face is like what? He's just really amped up. Like he's like energized.
Yeah.
Not necessarily happily, but he's just got this look of like something just happened. So I'm like, what? How do you have all this food? Well, let me tell you, he says. So he's like, so here I am in the back of the line. There's a really long line at Burger King. There's this asshole at the front of the line, and he's got nothing but change. He's trying to pay with nickels and pennies and dimes. I don't even know if he had any quarters. He's just paying. And, so he's just like, 1, 2, here's a nickel. How much more do I owe? Oh, $14. Okay, here's a dime. And all of us in line, that's not going to fly with my dad.
Yeah.
No.
So my dad eventually, he's like, what the fuck is going on? And someone in front of him, he's like, oh, there's this jerk up front who's just paying with all change, and he's been there for like 10 minutes. And so my dad's like, well, this is not okay.
Which easily could have been 45 seconds.
It was probably not long.
It just angered him to a point where the time stopped.
If it's longer than it should be, his patience is -30, right? If it's like, okay, there's a little bit of a line, I guess this sucks, and he's not going to just go off fly off the handle. But if there's something where in his brain he has the righteous, ground, he's going to act on it.
Yeah.
He's not where most of us in our heads would be like, oh, this jerk.
Right, but
He
they never
says
actually
it
do
out loud and
anything.
does something. Okay, so he goes up to the front of the counter as this guy's like 1, 15, 35, 40, and he's like, hey, what do you think you're doing? You're holding up the entire line. And when he says that, he spooks the guy. The guy throws all his change in the air. Like, and it goes all sprinkle all over the place. And the guy, my dad's like, what are you doing? Get out. And the guy runs away. The guy, my dad spooks him so much, he takes off outside. My dad immediately turns to the counter, slams his fist on the counter and goes, I demand compensation.
Oh my God.
For this horribly traumatic ordeal he's apparently been through. So, knowing my dad, he's a little guy. I'm taller than my dad, and I'm only 5'10" on a good day. Okay? My dad was probably 5'9", 5'8". He's not like a huge presence.
Mm-hmm. His voice
But everyone was terrified of the man. So he's not like this like giant bodybuilder looming over you. He's just this huge voice, right? But so something he did to this guy spooked everyone. The way he tells it, the entire line was like, yeah, the guy
he tells
right out the door. But so the people behind the counter, he demands compensation. I demand compensation, which is a line that we all say now.
Yep.
And they just started throwing food at him, much like Best Buy and the computer. Because, hey, sometimes you got to be an asshole, right? So they just keep giving him food until he's apparently satisfied, until he's been thoroughly compensated. But the story doesn't end there. So he takes his food, because he just jumped the line himself, right?
Yeah.
So he takes his food, and he goes into the parking lot to leave. The guy is waiting for him in the parking lot. And my dad's walking out with his food. And my dad is a gun-carrying, free American kind of guy. Like he's proudly displaying his gun. And this guy, the guy's like, I don't have to take that abuse from you. I used to get abused when I was younger, and this is not okay. And my dad, instead of being like, oh, hey, I'm sorry, but that was just, you were taking too long, like a normal person would do, he puts his hand on his gun and steps forward and just goes, ah! And the guy goes,
runs away.
God.
And then he gets in the car and comes home. And it's been about 40
Poor guy's
minutes.
probably like, I'm so hungry. And all I have is this change.
I know.
And your dad
Apparently all over the
man.
Burger King floor now.
Yep. He lost all of his money.
And meanwhile, my dad's like, wow, it's got some free food.
Yeah.
He had bags and bags of food.
God.
It's like they gave him everybody that else was in line's
Yeah.
order, and they were like, just make it.
Now
make
everyone
new
else
stuff.
in line had to wait for him to like recook all the burgers and stuff.
Hey, they applauded him according to
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently they applauded him. There's 1,000 stories of him that I have where he's just like done something crazy like this and just somehow gotten his way instead of had the police called.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, well, he's just a little guy. We'll just give him what he wants.
Yeah.
But he's terrifying. Anyway, so that is D story number 2. Jeff, what do you have for us next?
Game number 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Hey, you guys like dinosaurs?
Love dinosaurs.
Cool. That's it. This game has nothing to do with dinosaurs. No,
I
I'm
also
kidding.
love jeans.
This game is called Trajanum. No, this game is called Dinogenics.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of Dinogenics, Natalie?
Yeah.
I only have heard it on the Board Game Snobs.
Okay, they love it, which is
Yeah.
a testament to itself. If you care about their opinion at all, which no one does. Well, I care about Gabi's opinion. Now,
right.
they don't like a ton of games, but they like Dinogenics. They also like games that I don't like, so it's not like. But anyway, they like Dinogenics, and I think Dinogenics falls behind Dinosaur Island. People,
So they were on Kickstarter at the same time.
is that what it was?
Yes,
okay.
they were on Kickstarter at the same time. Dinosaur Island's Kickstarter was a lot more popular.
Yeah, Pandasaurus,
Vastly
obviously,
more-
they're a bigger company,
Yeah,
so that
much
helped.
more
but
popular. And I know Jamie from the Secret Cabal, he was just, back when they were both like there, he was like, what one do I do? He picked Dinogenics. And so Dinosaur Island came out much sooner.
yeah,
And it blew up. And so he was like, shit. I made the wrong choice. Darn it. Dinosaur Island is
probably not.
amazing. Dinogenics is probably going to suck.
Did you play Dinosaur Island?
I have not. So this might not be the
You weren't
greatest.
a big fan of it.
We can tell you, yeah, we didn't really love it. I'll say that.
But Jamie loves Dinogenics.
Jamie loves. He got Dinogenics and he was like, he's like, maybe this is the ownership bias, but I like this better than Dinosaur Island. It's so good. So I'm sorry, that's my preamble.
No,
Jeff,
thanks, because I didn't know they were
Yeah.
on at the same time.
Yep.
But I know that this one always kind of falls behind. People think about dinosaur games and they immediately go to Dinosaur Island.
Yeah.
This game is really good. Dinogenics is really good. And after talking to you guys about Dinosaur Island, I didn't really want to play it, right?
Yeah.
You guys didn't like it, so I was like, well, let's just kind of see what else is out there. And besides like Draftosaurus, there's not a lot of like heavy dinosaur games.
Yep.
It's that theme is maybe falls into kids. There's like the
Yeah.
egg dino one that you
SOS
have.
Dino.
Yeah,
Yep,
some
SOS
things.
Dino.
But this is a worker placement dinosaur game, and I was like, okay, this looks cool.
Big box.
And yeah, Ninth Haven, it's a big box. It's like the picture on it is okay. I wish it would have gone a little like not to the point of almost over the top. Like Dinosaur Island's
Yeah.
like pink and yellow.
Yeah.
This is more looks like dinosaurs, right?
Right.
But it also comes across like the cover's a little darker and whatever, so it doesn't pop out as much. But it's good. So the theme of it is Jurassic Park, right?
Yep.
You take the role of billion-dollar corporations trying to
Okay.
compete to make the best dinosaur theme park, which is just so cool, right?
That is
Yeah.
cool.
And everybody loves Jurassic Park, and if you don't, I don't know what your problem is. So it's played over 7 seasons or 7 rounds where players are placing workers on the main board to do things like get dinosaur DNA cards, to build facilities in your park that increases like the people that are there. They're like hotels or they're food courts or just different kind of ways that you increase your park. You build fences to keep the dinosaurs in, of course. You can get money. You can get these very cool manipulation cards, which just have like a super action on it. So instead of doing one thing, you do a couple, or you can move things or whatever. It's like a super action, these manipulation cards. And of course, obviously create these dinosaurs. And the way you create these dinosaurs is you are sort of set collecting these DNA cards. And then when you're ready to build a dinosaur, you turn in these sets. So it might be like 2 to build a little raptor. I'm saying build. To create a raptor. It might be like 5 for a T-Rex or 4 for like a Brontosaurus. And then you turn those in and you then add that dinosaur to your park.
Okay.
And
Cool.
every dinosaur, there's 7, 8 dinosaurs or so. Every dinosaur has their own requirement of like the size pen that they need. They can't be in the same pen with another dinosaur, or they're just going to go bananas, right?
Yeah.
So they have to have specific requirements. So your park has to be set up for that at all times. If at any time your park is not set up for that dinosaur, it's going to rampage, which is pretty cool. So you roll this dice and it'll essentially like destroy things in your park. It will eat guests. There is one cool thing on the die. There's like, it's almost like a blank, right? If you roll it, you're like, all right, nothing happened.
Yeah, everything's cool.
But instead of a blank, they put this like happy smiley face on it. Okay. And what it represents, they say in the rule book, is that it's like a naive guest. So the naive guest thinks that this rampaging dinosaur is all part of the show, and like takes a picture, and you get an extra $1. So it's just like I just think that's so funny that like really this person was so close to death, but was like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah. Because they easily could have just made it a blank, and you'd be like, cool, but that was kind of a cool
funny
thing. So as you make these and you add facilities, as you create these dinosaurs, add facilities, your park becomes super like thematic looking, right?
Okay.
So the player boards are recessed where your fences actually sit like in the board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which is cool. So the whole grid is fences. So you have these fences, and the Brontosaurus needs to like not be fenced in at all.
Yeah.
It has to be like open area.
Sure.
But if another dinosaur gets out of its cage, now the Brontosaurus and the other dinosaur are going to rampage because the requirements are not met. So then it can like escalate, right? You can be rolling this rampage die a few times, but that feels like Jurassic Park, right? That feels like you can play this game and play it very safe, right? You can play this and just create everything you need and that kind of stuff. But I think it's a game that rewards taking a chance, right?
Okay.
And then as you add dinosaurs to your park, you get prestige and you get reputation, and then you earn points at the end of every round for how many dinosaurs are there, how many guests are in your park, and that kind of stuff. The theme is so cool in this. And Natalie just pulled up a picture, and I forgot to talk about these goats. Okay, you get these goats, and you have to feed your dinosaurs
with live bait.
Yeah, so one of the spots that you go to in the worker placement are these goats, and you get goats, and you have to feed them. Again, if you don't get enough food, they rampage and they go crazy and they knock down fences and they destroy buildings and eat guests. And it just the theme just comes together. I felt like I was making this theme park. Like I felt entranced in the game. Like this is cool. And then, there's events that flip over and you got to like handle those. It's just, it all comes together really, really well. And one of my favorite parts of those manipulation cards, and I think you would like this too.
Okay.
These kind of super actions. So I can take a manipulation card and I can do like two things on my turn, or it lets me like build a dinosaur, create a dinosaur with less DNA cards, or something that just kind of can jumpstart your engine a little bit, but they're all awesome. Like they're all good cards. So I really like that point.
I love. Yeah. I love that kind of stuff.
So the only issue I think we had, and some people on Board Game Geek also have this, but I don't want to say it's been fixed, but it's been adjusted a little bit. There is a first player advantage. If you're winning at the end of each round, you get to take guests and add them to your hotels. If you're first, you get basically claim at more guests than everybody else. So kind of like if you're winning, you might run away with it. And I think I've read some things, and I would agree. If you're behind, you need to like play more risky. You need to take those big chances, put those big dinosaurs in your park, even if you don't have the fencing for them or the requirements for them. Get the prestige points for them because they're still going to be in your park. They don't ever run away. So they're going to be in your park. You're going to get the points for them. You might lose a building, but this is your chance to like take over the lead and then fix it, right? So I would say the next time I played, I would want to be more risky. I would want to like take some chances because I started behind and I just never could catch up. And Devin like crushed the game. She had like perfect hotels. She like did so well, but I needed to do something to take over first.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of okay with that. Like if I'm in line, I need to do something. I can't do the same thing that Devin is doing and expect to win.
Yeah, sure.
So I needed to adjust my game plan.
Do you feel like you could have?
I think so. After Devin, because Devin and I kind of talked about it because we both really enjoyed playing it and thought it was like fun. Mm-hmm. We talked about like I needed to just make a T-Rex in my park and just let him go crazy.
Yeah.
Because I needed those 9 reputation because then I might have passed her in the second round.
Sure.
And then I might have been pushing away.
Now you're the one getting this stuff.
And now I'm even though a building might get destroyed or something. So that was my only complaint for the first game, but I think that changes. I think that I would just play it differently.
Yeah.
And again, I don't care too much that I win. I obviously play games to try to win. I don't care too much, but it was just fun to play.
Yeah.
And I know there's an expansion out that I don't have that people are saying is awesome.
Oh, really?
And
What does
adds
it do?
some great things. I think it adds more facility buildings. I don't know if it does anything with the points or the leader kind of situation. And a couple new dinosaurs. I'm assuming new manipulation cards, stuff like that. But
Cool.
So I'll be looking out for that. I know because it's a smaller publisher, the print run might not be as often or as big, so I might need to just keep an eye out for it.
Which is another testament to the fact that it was probably not as, it was overlooked compared to Dinosaur Island.
Yeah, I would look into that. If you liked, people asked me when I posted, and I felt bad because I didn't have the knowledge of both of
Dinosaur
those
Island,
games.
yeah.
People were like, "What's better? What's better?" And I would just refer them to an article. I'm like, "Here's this cool article I read about both of them that really gives a pretty decent comparison." I think a lot of people are they pick a lane, right? And they're like, Dinosaur Island is the best. Dinogenics is the best. The people that I have similar gaming brains with like Dinogenics better than Dinosaur Island. I think it's a heavier game. I think it's a little more thematic. And I know that Pandasaurus is now coming out with Dinosaur World.
Yep.
So
there's also the Dulosaur Island.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
the Dulosaurs.
Dinosaur Island for 2.
But
it was a big hit for him.
yeah, and if you're just looking to help out a smaller publisher who's awesome, these people that
Plus,
work
it looks really cool on the table. Those
it
the
looks
pens
so
are all
awesome.
3-dimensional.
Yes,
which is
it's
really
so
sweet.
cool.
The dinosaurs are 3-dimensional.
Yeah, because they could have just made flat things and you just laid them out there. But man, the production quality is awesome. You buy, again, I talked about the little goats. These little
Yeah,
goats.
the goats.
These little dinosaur. It just felt so cool. And if you like dinosaurs, it's just get it. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's cool.
Dinosaur game.
Yeah,
About Jurassic Park.
Dinogenics.
Dinogenics. That's awesome. Okay, D story number 3. This is a short one, but this is one of the ones that makes us laugh the hardest. So, all right. You're starting to learn a little bit about my dad, and I am. All these stories I'm telling are definitely the ones where he's, again, more gruff and maybe a little bit mean. But it's part of what gives him his character, which we all love. So, he had a rule. And it wasn't a rule that he explained to people. It was just being his son, I knew this was the rule, and so I'd tell everybody, you don't call the house after 10 p.m. That is a no-no. If you want to, be berated until, you're a little bit short of suicide, call the house after 10 p.m. You'll get my dad, and he will make you feel like, the lowest person on earth for doing that. So...
Because this is home phones. We have
This
house
is in the
phones.
era of home
We don't
phones.
have salt. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
This is in their own home phones. So, a blunder happened where we didn't tell that information to, all of our friends' significant others. So, a friend of mine, his girlfriend, she had our home phone and she was looking for him. This is Jake. And he had a girlfriend named Stephanie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Steph.
And so, I don't know, one day we were just all out doing something, and she was looking for him. And she called his cell phone, he didn't answer, or whatever. So she decided at 10:30
Oh, boy.
that she would try.
And that's after 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
10:30 is after 10.
That's after 10. That's not like 10:01. Even though at 10:01 he would still do it.
Yes, I think the 10:30
Even at,
reaction's probably the same as
Even
10:05.
at 9:50, he'd probably still do it. But so she called it about 10:30, looking for him, looking for me, looking for him. So here's how it goes. Boop boop boop. Brrr. Hello. Yeah, hi. Is Ryan there? Who is this? This is Stephanie. Well, Daphne, you know what time it is? Don't call anymore. Click. So she finally gets a hold of us, and she tells us the story, and we're like, she's like, oh my God. I just had to talk to Ryan's dad on the phone. And I'm like, oh, you called my house? I'm like, oh God, what did he do? And she's like, well, my name's not Stephanie anymore. It's Daphne now, apparently. And she told us what he said. And it's the funniest, 2 seconds. Who is this? Stephanie. Well, Daphne, don't call anymore.
Part of me goes back and forth because how many times I've heard this story and love it of did he in his mind hear Daphne?
Yes, I think so.
Or did he purposely go, you know what? F you,
Screw
Stephanie.
this girl.
Your name's Daphne now, boo. And you're just like,
Even the fact that he's just like, who is this? What if it was a legit person, it's your sister.
He was like, he was not, so he was he could be really goofy and charismatic, but he was not creative in that way. He wouldn't I'm gonna screw with this
Yeah.
person, unless he saw it on
That's true.
Seinfeld
His-
and appropriated it. But it's more in his nature to just be like, I'm gonna light this woman on fire right now for calling my house past 10 o'clock. So yeah, so we only called her Daphne after that until they
Obviously.
broke up. But yeah, that is one of my favorites, only because of this person who doesn't know him.
Right.
If you don't know him,
It's traumatic.
it's traumatizing.
Like the guy in the parking lot.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The Burger
It's
King guy.
traumatizing. And so just like every time I think of that story, I think of her perspective, just calling, because anybody else in the world you call, they're just like, oh no, they're not here. But you get the D.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
not only did he yell
he's
at her,
not
he
here,
called her the
and,
wrong name.
And listen, we're in bed. Please,
yeah,
don't,
you know,
please don't
this is a
call
little late.
past
This is
10
a little
o'clock.
bit late. You know, not to be rude, but this is a little late for us. You know.
Hello, and he wasn't ready. Like that could have, like Natalie said, that could have been an emergency
Yep.
call.
Right.
He was not having that. Either.
Oh no,
That's
he
great.
was ready for it too. I almost feel like part of him was like, "Oh fuck yeah, someone's calling again.
He was like, I get to.
I can do it. I can justifiably express my
Yep.
rage."
My anger is built up all day.
Yeah.
Daphne's getting the
Yep.
brunt of this one. So that's my third D story. That one's titled Daphne.
Daphne.
That's title.
I think I've told you this, but I've told that story a handful of times to
Yeah.
people because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's like short and funny. And I told that story when I went to South Africa to
You
the group
did?
that went to South Africa with us.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
they thought it was hilarious. So there was like 18 of us that went to South Africa, and we had two
The
big,
stories are spanning the
maybe
globe.
12 or 13. I told that story, and we had two vans. So after telling that story, everybody named the van Stephanie and Daphne.
You never told me
I never
that.
told
I
you
don't
that?
think. If you did, I forgot. That is the greatest
Yeah.
thing I've ever heard.
So people would be like, you know, we would just like say what you riding. Like, oh, you going Stephanie or Daphne, and that would be like what van we were in for the day.
What a tribute. What a
Yeah.
tribute that is. I'm telling you, his charisma spans the globe now.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stephanie and
Well, Daphne.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
That's great.
Wow, thank you for telling me that. All right, Jeff,
Yeah.
what is the last game you have to talk to us about
Let's talk
today?
about more games. Let's talk about a heavy ass game called
yeah.
Cerebria.
Oh,
we
had
owned that
a
for a
while.
time.
We
That
never
game
played
is deep.
Yeah.
That game is heavy. 4.28.
Okay.
And
Very deep.
and I would. It's all of that. It's all of 4.28. Not a bad thing, but it's all of
The
that.
Mind
So
Clash
it's a-
games tend to be
Yes.
very heavy.
So yeah, this is a Mind Clash game, and probably their least popular.
I would say
maybe their
that's
least
true.
praised even, but still, I think if you look on BGG, it's like still a 7.8.
Oh, yeah, it
it's
gets-
still
it gets
high.
love.
But Tricarion and Anachrony, those are the two. If you're familiar with Mind Clash or not, those are the two you're going to see. Anachrony is on like every third post as I scroll through.
Yeah.
them, especially now that they
Yeah, the big box
sent
came
out
out.
this the house that game lives in.
Yep.
And
We're actually inside of it right now.
Yeah, and Tricarion I think is Kelly, the Geek Chic.
That's her favorite, right?
It's her favorite. Yeah. Her maybe her favorite game.
Yeah, I think so.
So, what I loved about Cerebria that really kind of drew me to it right away was the theme. I think and the art is like, all the art in all their games are just so cool. But for some reason, this one stands out to me as like my favorite artwork
It's
of their
beautiful.
games. Yeah.
And the one I had, dude, I had the all-in pledge where the minis were painted.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think yours was standees, right?
I have standees, but I also
Which are
have
sweet.
I have the expansion that has the minis, but
Oh,
they're
you
not
do?
painted.
Okay, yeah, I had them all painted. It was so gorgeous. That was a symptom of we need some cash.
Yeah.
That game
Yeah.
gave us a lot at that moment.
Sure.
'Cause
And
yeah.
I played with the standees the first two times, and then just because I wanted to review the game, the base, right? And
Yep.
now I'll add in the expansion with the minis. I was super tempted. I was like, let me just do it. But I'm like, I'm reviewing the base game, so I'm just do the base game. Even the standees, the art is cool
they're sweet
on them. So Cerebria is a team-based game for 2 to 4, really 2 or 4.
Yeah.
It's 3-player variants, but it's a 2-player game or a 4-player game. And you are on teams, okay? And you are representing these spirits, either gloom or bliss, and you're trying to shape and control what the game calls the inside world, or, the brain, or
Yeah.
a personality.
It's inside.
Which again, that theme.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a game with that theme? Like, have you ever
No.
had a game where, like, you are essentially being a Debbie Downer, and you want this game, you want your personality in this game to be gloom.
That's one of the
Yeah.
great
like,
things about
how
Mind Clash.
cool.
Those games are, you don't really
is
see
really
those
cool.
themes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very often.
And so the gameplay really surrounds playing emotion cards, which would either fall into the gloom or bliss category. to these different areas of the board in order to control the Cerebria. So it is a area control game at heart. Yeah. So you want to control these different zones of the brain because that will then influence the personality. And then if you win, this person is gloom or bliss.
Right.
So on your turn, players take 3 actions to either move around the Cerebria, which is just moving around the board to these different spots, which again, all have, it's heavy. It's not just moving. You can activate different realms of the Cerebria. So where you are has its own action on the board that you can take, which is very cool. You can invoke or upgrade emotion cards. Invoke would just be playing them onto the board to then try to take control of the different realms of the board. You can upgrade them, which would then would make that emotion more powerful. So if I played out happiness and I added another one, that zone would be more happy. Okay. You can remove opponents' emotions. You can also fortify certain areas, try pretty much protecting your control of that zone. And teams earn points. So whether it's just you or you and someone else earn points by accomplishing these public goals as well as your own private goal.
I like that.
Which cool. So there's 7 or 8 goals. And there's a public stack of them. There's a private stack of them for each team. So the only time you can't have is if my goal, my public goal or my personal goal matches the private goal, you have to shuffle and draw a new one. But it's a lot of them are, controlling the most zones, having the most tokens on your cards, controlling the most this area. So they're basically like that. And you're vying to not only achieve your goal, but also the public one, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
You can't achieve the other person's goal and beat them to the points. You know what I, you can't luck into that where oh man, on the last turn, Ryan got more somethings than me. Yeah, and now I lose not only my own card, but the public card. So I can just beat you and you wouldn't get anything. Sure. Right. But then I wouldn't be able to take things from you.
That's good.
And if you achieve these goals, you're basically adding these cool fragments that they call fragments of your spirit to the identity in the middle of the board. And that's what, if you've ever seen pictures of Cerebria, that's the tower in the middle. So they're either that deep purple color or this orangey red sort of color. And you're creating this tower, and that's the personality that's the identity of the game.
So you want to have more of your color section?
You want more of your color in there. Okay. And you do that by, if I achieve my goal and the public goal, I get to add a big chunk to the identity.
To the personality pie.
And really, you're playing... once the end of the last objective has been... So once one objective is completed, you flip that over and you move on. Once the last one is completed, you look at the identity and you basically score points for the chunks that are in there. That's kind of the big thing. So you're winning with 20. You're not getting hundreds and hundreds of points. You just want the most in there for the most part.
Cool. I like that kind of winning condition.
Yeah. And I oversimplified an extremely complicated game by just kind of talking through it because, I could have each card has an ability that you have to keep track of. So every card that's on the board might do something different that changes how you're doing things or has an ability on the board. You can upgrade your actions on your player board, which changes how you play.
Okay.
You can actually start the game not having the available, not having the move action even available.
Oh.
But start with an upgraded extra action, a different action that's upgraded. So you can kind of pick, I only need these 2 actions to start the game, but I'm going to upgrade them right away. So that's pretty cool. And as you go out throughout the game, you're upgrading them.
How long does it take?
It's longer.
Even with 2?
Yeah, it's a 2-hour game. It's a 2-hour.
Not bad.
Yeah. With explanation, it'd probably take a 2.5.
And with
the first
4,
thing.
You're going.
Yeah, I would think that's
a lot more.
Yeah. So when you play with 2, it suggests you can play with one person, so one of the spirits. And then there's kind of I don't want to call it a dummy player, but there's then something else. Or you can play with 2 of the people, right? 2 spirits. So I can control 2 spirits, and you can control 2 spirits. And that's how we played. And I also, shockingly, I don't play solo games. I actually soloed the game.
What?
Really?
That's how I tried to learn it.
Oh, I see.
And I don't play games by myself.
Cow, yeah.
And
I could see that you wanting to do that though, because it's a very heavy game. You got to make sure you have it all right before you teach it.
They even they have a starter. Here is how you set up your first game. It doesn't do it like the game we were talking about earlier. It just says all right, don't upgrade an action to start with. Put your tokens here. You have all the actions available. Take out these two cards from each deck. They're a little more complicated, and they just say this is the first game you should play, and then you can add some of the stuff to kind of. I don't want to say overcomplicate it, but overcomplicate it. Mm-hmm. The game initially is fine. like I don't know if I want to add all this other stuff just yet because man, there's just a lot going on.
It'd take you a while before you needed to expand.
Yeah, because you got to pay attention to all these powers. You got to pay attention to the goals. You have to manage these 2 resources I didn't even talk about with ambition and willpower. Those have to be like, you have to do that. But for some reason, I think the theme makes the game make some sense. If it was just like nonsensical, where it was like, you want to control, and they could have made it areas of Europe, right? You want to control different, but for some reason, this whole kind of emotional identity sort of thing made sense. And I thought that was really cool to kind of tie this thing together. It's also really tactical because it's area control. Like you have to adjust. You move into a spot that I had control of and now you control it. I have to shift,
I got to figure
right?
out how to take that back.
So turns can be long because I can't think 5 turns ahead. I can plan, but that gets screwed up really easily. I loved like the board. And I think that would be Ryan's favorite part would be upgrading these actions to be like, now I only have to spend 1 to move and I can upgrade this thing or I can add it. Like that's cool. Cause I know you like taking things off and getting better things. This would be like taking an action to upgrade.
Yeah.
And on your turn, you can upgrade before you then take the action. So that would be like, you can have a very awesome turn of like, because I could think, oh, Ryan can't move there and do this. And then you're like, ha ha ha.
But I do this
and you do it.
Boom.
Yeah. So that was very cool.
Yeah.
The art, like we talked about, is so awesome. I'm going to try with the expansion, even if it's just adding. So the expansion adds another spirit into the game, which I think opens it up for like a more smoother 3-player experience.
Okay.
Because I could control Gloom, you could control Bliss, and then the other person could control the other one.
Whatever the other thing is. Yeah.
And then the minis. But it is super heavy. You know, it's not going to hit the table all the time because of how heavy it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's something that it might be like more of a nerd fest game, more of I play with Bill.
Once or twice a year,
right?
Kind of game.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Like I just kind of like liked all of the things that were going on, even though there was a lot. And I was checking the rule book and I was having to look at cards. But it all kind of came together well, like better than I thought when I first read it. I'm like, holy this rule book is huge. I have to pay attention to everything. But it kind of clicked. Yeah.
Good.
So
Cool.
maybe we could play it. Maybe we could
that's
try
good.
it.
Yeah.
It was one
We
that
wanted
I got
to
rid of it.
play
I was
it.
kind of like, yeah, we always wanted to play it.
But then we were
and
just like, I don't even.
I remember we needed. I think there was something it was like we could use the money for. We needed to do something,
right?
maybe.
And we were like, when are we actually going to play?
And it was like,
even though we
when are
want
we
to?
actually ever going to play this? So
Yeah.
let's just move it out. We have a ton of games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So
yeah, I
that's
would-
Cerebria.
Yeah, if you like heavy ass games,
Mind Clash.
check this one out
I
because
do
it's
like
cool.
heavy ass games. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are at the last D story of the day. This one is maybe the newest, the most frequent or the most recent of all of his stories. Maybe the Turkey Perky Jerky was.
Oh yeah.
But this one is entitled The Inch Belt.
Yes.
This may have taken over as my personal favorite.
It's
of all of his.
It's a good one.
All right, so one of his favorite restaurants was Chili's. He loves to go there, and so he invited me and Natalie to Chili's one day. This was not long ago. This was a
Couple years ago.
or two, maybe. Was it like right before he was
I think it was
diagnosed?
before he was
I think it was
sick.
right before he was diagnosed. And so we go to Chili's, and I get there first, and he's in he's in the booth, and he's got like a pair of shorts with him. It was weird, and they were like on the table, and he was the D, so he just wore jean shorts. So there was jorts, right?
Yeah.
He was sitting on the table, and I'm like, what do you got? What are these shorts here? And he's like, oh, I gotta tell you something. He's like, you're not gonna like this though. And for him to say that, to qualify that to me, meant I was in store for something good. And I was like, what did you do? And he's like, well, there's this really awesome belt that I've wanted for so long called the Inch Belt. And if you don't know the Inch Belt, I don't know if it's actually called the Inch Belt.
Think it's called
I
that,
think it
'cause
was
we
like a must seen on
Googled it.
TV.
It's not. I've
thing.
Googled it a lot because I was going to try to find
that's
something to
not
put it
the-
in the basket.
Yeah.
In the care
that
package.
was
But
so
It's really
funny.
more like a
Yeah.
ratchet.
So it's a ratcheting belt. It's basically
it doesn't have holes, right?
It's really cool. It's a very cool thing. Yeah, there's no holes. So it just every like millimeter there's another little ratchet, and you can just ratchet the belt to basically get a lot more.
however fat you are.
Yeah, however fat you are or however skinny you are, it doesn't just conform to the circle dots,
Yeah.
right? So he wanted this thing so bad. He saw it on TV. He found out they had it at
Kohl's.
At Kohl's. So he goes to Kohl's. This is right before he came to Chili's to see us. He goes to Kohl's and he he goes up to somebody and he's like, yeah, hi, the inch belt.
That's it.
And they're like, excuse me? And he's like, I'd like to buy the inch belt, please. And they're like, we don't have the inch belt. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, I'd like to speak to the belt department supervisor, please.
Like Coles has a belt
The
department.
belt department. Not only does Coles, he thinks, has a belt department, there's a whole department called belts.
Yeah.
But that specific department has a hierarchy.
I've been to Kohl's. There's a rack. There's a rack of belts
In the middle of
or a
clothes.
wall.
and
right?
there might be the male section of belts and a female section. So you might control two racks if you are the
belt
supervisor.
department supervisor.
Yep.
So the person he's talking to is just like, yeah, that's me.
Ooh, yep, yeah,
You
right,
got
of
her.
course, yep.
I'm the belt department supervisor. And so he's like, oh, okay. Well, I'd like the inch belt, please. And she's like, I'm sorry, sir, we don't carry that. And he's like, you do. I saw it on TV on an ad. They said you have it. And she's like, I don't know what to tell you. I am here every day. I get the inventory. I know what belts we have. After all, I'm the belt department supervisor.
Yeah.
We don't have
My
it.
only job.
And so he's, as you would expect, knowing the last three stories, he's upset. So he says something probably unsavory to her and leaves. He goes over to the belts because he's going to see for himself. He's looking at the belts. There's some hanging on the wall. And he sees it. He sees the inch belt. And of course, he's pissed
Or
already.
he thinks it's the inch belt.
Yeah, what he thinks is,
Yeah.
It's some ratcheting belt. So the lady, it's probably not called the inch belt.
Yeah,
Right.
he probably just called the
He just
wrong-
kept calling it that instead of telling her like, "Oh, it's really this ratcheting belt system. You have one of those ratcheting belt." No. So he goes. He finds it on the wall. He looks around to make sure he's alone. He takes it off the wall. He rips the tag thing off of it. Again, looks around. He takes his own belt off, puts the tag back on his belt, hangs it on the wall, puts the inch belt around his waist, and walks out the store. I'm like, what? You stole the inch belt? And he's like, yeah, and it's the perfect crime too. Because if I left and they tried to stop me, I would just be like, no, this is mine. You guys don't carry this.
Ask the belt department supervisor. She'll tell you.
I checked with Debbie, the belt
perfect
department
one.
supervisor. The perfect crime. So I just now envision someone else going up to the belt wall and seeing his old
Dirty ass belt.
Clearly, he didn't even want that belt anymore.
What?
He didn't just take it with
Oh
him.
my gosh.
He hung it up. He replaced it. Yeah, and so he had it with him at Chili's. He's like, check it out. I'm wearing it right now. It doesn't explain the jean shorts, though. I don't know why the jean shorts were there on the table, but either way,
Who knows?
that led me to the, in my opinion, the greatest D story that I've encountered, which is unfortunately probably I think it was the last one. Maybe the turkey perky jerky, which I'll tell in a different time.
Yeah.
That might have been the other one. But so those are the stories. Those are some stories I'd like. I'm happy to have shared with you all about the D, knowing one little aspect of what he was like in public, which was no shame.
Yep.
But he also never felt bad. You know what I mean? Like he's never spoken of that Burger King story like, I treated that guy. No. He's always justified 100%. His use of force.
Yep.
Is
He demanded
justified,
compensation.
and he got it.
Sometimes you need to demand
Got
compensation.
to be an asshole sometimes.
What have you
Come on.
learned from your father?
Yep. I'm just gonna go
I need
yell
to
at
demand
people.
compensation.
Yep. I don't yell at you two enough. I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I've
You
learned.
get a little angrier.
I'd like to talk to you all now for a moment about the Gateway Board Gaming Network, which you can find at www.thegatewaynetwork.com and the Gateway Network on Instagram. The sole purpose of the network is to help new or up-and-coming content creators grow by shouting each other out. If you go to the Gateway Network website, you will find other amazing content creators who are trying to grow as well. They are all amazing people who produce fantastic content. We're adding new members all the time. It's very exciting, due also in large part to our merch store. Yes, we've recently added a merch store, which you can find at redbubble.com/people/gateway network. There you can find so many amazing items from a large portion of our members. There's shirts, mugs, clocks, shower curtains, floor pillows, coasters, mini skirts, culottes, skids, bloomers, granny panties, and dental dams.
Oh my god.
Dental dams. With a logo on it?
You can
Granny
get
panties.
dental
Wow.
dams. Today, I'd like to specifically highlight our newest member, Kelly Council, the Geek Chic Gamer.
Yeah, Kelly.
Kelly is a self-proclaimed game reviewer and product promoter. And I'm telling you, if you have a product in the gaming space that you want promoted, I can't think of anyone who would be more enthusiastic, if you like, than
100%.
Kelly, right?
She's awesome.
I mean, she is maybe the most kind-hearted, excited, and genuinely nice and likable person in the whole of the Instagram board gaming community. She runs a fantastic Instagram page full of new, fun ideas that aren't just pictures, you know? Anytime you see her face in them, you instantly get excited. She also has a YouTube channel and just seems to love spreading the love. So what a perfect candidate for the Gateway Network. Her husband, the Bearded Gamer, is also a newly minted member of the Gateway Network and posts great stuff over on his page as well. So go give Geek Chic Gamer and the Bearded Gamer a follow on Instagram and subscribe to her YouTube channel today. Whatever kind of content you're looking for, the Gateway will have it. If you're a newer board game content creator and you're looking for a way to grow your content, please consider heading over to thegatewaynetwork.com to learn more. If you ever wanted to support the show, but weren't quite sure how to do it, maybe consider flushing your money down the Gamecasters toilet by way of our Patreon page. There are 4 different tiers, which will eventually get you access to behind-the-scenes content or exclusive content or content ahead of time. You also get swag that nobody else has access to and just the opportunity to help out and support a podcast, which you sometimes listen to. We have 6 amazing patrons so far: Emotional Cyborg, Jim Gamer, Mr. Days Lewis, Mr. Measles, Mick Dave Mick, and Swoozle. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I promise we'll start upping our game there in the next few years. And now, everyone, it's time for the man who puts the sing in arousing, Jeff the Mad Board Gamer, in this episode's Instagram Inbox.
And now it's time for the Instagram Inbox with the Mad Board Gamer.
Well, gamers. It's the I didn't do that this week. So, yeah.
It's once again that time, dear listeners, for the woman who puts the her in bothersome. Just kidding. She puts the tit in titillating. Oh my God. Natalangus Jangalangus in this episode's Natalie's Nook.
Yes. I've missed Natalie's Nook. Like, people have asked me, like, what? Like, you know, you haven't recorded in a while, you know, are you waiting? I'm like, I just can't wait for the Nook.
I've been hibernating in the Nook.
Oh, man. That's where you've been.
I'm crawling out now, stretching my arms, and I can't wait to
It is spring.
Yeah.
We're close to it.
Yeah.
What do you have for us today, Natalie?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So today, I think
Jeff has a question.
Oh, yes.
Are there any rules about our behavior going into this that we need to know?
It's been a while. Let's just see how it goes.
Okay.
Tell us. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question.
So I think in the past, pre-Nook, I've done like a board game pet peeves discussion. Okay. But today I'm going to be more specific and talk about production pet peeves and then counter with production decisions that we love or like make you swoon.
Oh, making me swoon.
So first, the bad. And okay, so I'll just start.
All right,
One of the pet peeves, production pet peeves, is colors and symbols that are too similar to each other. It's very annoying when you're playing a game and it's not easy to distinguish between the colors of 2 different components or cards or
especially if you're
artwork
colorblind
or symbols.
Yes. So I was gonna say.
And none of us are, but it still can be like difficult. Like one example is the 2 types of buildings in Carpe Diem.
Yeah, that's probably the
one is like light brown and the other is like also light brown, but slightly different.
Fixed in the reprint, apparently.
They fixed it in the reprint.
So slight that like unless they're side by side, it takes like a couple extra seconds
I
to
actually
figure out which
flipped
one's
over
which.
those tiles and with a magic marker,
Oh, you
I
put
put
a
a
dot.
dot.
Yeah, you put
That's
it down.
right.
Which is like not something
Like
I
how
would
bad
ever do.
is that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they were really hard to
that
tell.
was like one of the things that.
And there's more than just that too. Than the green. You're talking about the green ones, right? Or are you talking about the actual building? So what I
It's
actually did
like
the marker
yellowish
one.
and then like light brownish, but they're like really similar.
Well, and also there's like the advanced tiles that are like a little bit darker than the other ones, in just the green on the back.
Right.
And so there's a lot of color problems. That's a really good pet peeve, especially for people who are colorblind.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge.
There's so many colors out there. Like just make the.
Yeah, maybe don't make them like one's purple and one's like a little less
light
purple.
Yeah.
Like why? But that does happen so often in games where there's 2 colors. It's usually like a blue and a green, where there's like one's teal and one's turquoise. Like what?
Yeah,
Right.
it's because again, we always talk about the people at the table making the games. If none of them are colorblind, they're not thinking that way,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Right.
Yeah.
if everybody at the table looks the same, acts the same, is the same, you're never gonna be more inclusive in the
Yep.
in the
Or
community.
even,
So that's like what
Yep.
you
I
need.
can't. I know there's a game where this happened that I cannot think of, but like a similar type thing is when there's like, let's say, a component like a resource or something that goes along with like a spot on the board or like a card, and like they're supposed to be the same color, but like when the production happened, they're just not at
not
all,
the
and you're
same.
like, then
That's
you get confused.
Exactly, that's what I wrote down. Is a
Really?
misprint of color. Like Underwater Cities is my
Yeah.
favorite game, and the Era 3 cards are purple.
Yeah.
and some of them are purple, and some of them are light purple,
Yep.
and some of them are darker purple.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
This color rhymes with purple.
Yeah, light purple, and
Steve
yeah,
Purple?
and that bugs me, and I don't, and I don't memorize the cards, but like they're different color. Like I'm like, come
Yeah.
on, like, and then it's not enough to really complain or for the company to even print them and send them
No,
out. So-
right. It's not like
but
so bad, but it's also
it's
like
annoying.
Oh, which one is this? Like, why? I wish I could just see it and know.
Yeah,
Yeah. My next one is symbols that are not intuitive, or like iconography
Yep.
that's not intuitive.
Sure.
Basically, something that's not obvious what they represent, and it's not like a huge deal. The main difference is you have to memorize what that icon is instead of just
spend a
looking
lot of
at
time
it
learning.
and making sense of like what it is. I don't really have a specific example, but I know
I have a bunch of examples.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Castles of Burgundy is an example.
Yeah.
So those yellow tiles in Castles of Burgundy, when you're first playing those, I mean, the first 4 or 5 games, your nose is buried in the rule book looking up what those yellow tiles do. Same with Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders is a lightish game, but looking up all the iconography on those is it the Era 3?
yeah, the
Cards where
yeah,
they're
the
like-
scoring, like the scoring
Yeah,
cards
the
are
scoring
different.
cards.
And, yeah.
They're not super intuitive. Also, Race for the Galaxy has been this has been a complaint levied against Race for the Galaxy for a number of years. We played that once or twice, Jeff.
Yep.
I know you have Roll for the Galaxy. I don't know if that fixes that or not, but yeah, iconography is a big pet peeve for a lot of people for that exact reason. It's just not intuitive. It's intuitive once you've learned and played the game
Right.
multiple times,
Yeah.
but you really, if you're going to use iconography, I really feel like you want it to hit right
Yes.
away to get people the chance to continue on playing your game.
It's a hard thing to do, and there is no common iconography. There is no common thing for discarding. Right?
Right.
Is it an X? Is it an arrow pointing up from the card? Is it
a curved arrow showing the card go
Yeah,
down?
it's
Right.
all different. So it depends on the publisher or the designer or the artist, and it's all different. But there's how many different things for discarding a card, and it's like, well, what is it?
There
for this
should
game
be
versus
a
that game?
universal
Yeah.
iconography chart.
for 10
For some
things. Here are the
basic
10
things.
common
Yep,
things.
that's what there should be.
Maybe someone
Right.
should do that.
Like draw a card.
There
Not
has
me.
been there's been a lot of over a lot of games I've seen like income has like shows a hand.
Yep, that's
you know
been
what I
a
mean.
thing.
That
so now
seems
that's
kind of
been
universal.
common enough. Yeah, that's like a
And then if you play games more, sometimes you can guess correct.
Yeah, you can
know,
intuit.
I know what that means,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, iconography it's tough to get right, and then if you get it wrong, it's really evident.
Especially if if that's
Yeah.
all you're using. If you're just
Right.
using iconography and you get it
Yeah.
wrong, whew, that's
Yeah.
tough.
yeah,
you
you
got
have
to
to
focus
rely
group
on
that shiz.
on a lot of games. This one, it's not really a pet peeve of mine personally, but I know that it bothers a lot of people. But flimsy player boards, when they're super thin and flimsy.
Yeah. So the other ones I feel like are more inexcusable. The player board flimsiness, so if you're looking at someone like Underwater Cities, for example, Vladimir Suki had his own publishing company he created, Delicious Games.
Yeah.
And that was the first game put out, I think, there. So they don't have the resources, maybe,
Yeah.
or the
Straight up money. Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
to print, big
sure.
player boards. So I agree with you. I hate it. I don't like those Underwater City boards,
Yeah,
which
I
are
know you don't.
the new ones, which are awesome.
The first ones suck. The second ones are awesome.
They suck.
Yeah.
But I am quicker to forgive, and for some reason it lessens my pet peeveness.
Yes.
If it's a game like
Yeah, like
that has
everything's like
everything
amazing,
else
and
is
then you have
amazing, and then that is that
Right.
way, that's more of like, what?
Yeah, like,
Spend a
why
little.
didn't
If you're going to
you-
spend all this money anyway, spend a little more on that.
Yeah, I just said with Underwater Cities again, my favorite game, so I'm allowed to nitpick it.
You can not.
But like with, I bought Underwater Cities. It was a $60 game, right? And then I opened it, I was disappointed in the quality of the boards versus what I spent. But again, it's a smaller publisher, so they're not making this mass quantities. Like, so I was annoyed with some games where I felt like I spent the money and then the quality lacks. But I do agree with Ryan. Like, it's forgivable, especially if the game is good. Same thing with bad art. Like the game, good art can make a game better, but bad art for me doesn't ruin a game if the game is good enough.
For sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yep, agreed.
Another one, I kind of hate this a lot.
Kind of a lot.
Bad rule books or typos in rule books.
Oh my gosh, I'm with you 1,000%.
This is the worst offender. Components are one thing, but to actually be able to play the game, you need to understand the rules.
Yep.
And when a rule book makes it unnecessarily complicated, or when it's missing information or rules are too vague, frustration can start before the game even begins. It also bothers me when there are typos in any type of book, not even rule books, like a reading book.
A reading book.
I mean, like, I've seen that before, and I'm like, are you serious? Do you know how many people must have read through this book and edited this book, and this is wrong?
Yeah.
So like, that's
agree with you.
Yep.
But I mean, we are like grammar police, so that might not bother other people.
But this speaks to.
It bothers me.
If you have more.
No, I was just gonna mention as an example.
Ryan.
I was just gonna mention as an example. Last night we were trying to learn a game, and the rule said to pull a certain card from an adventure deck, and we looked through the entire deck of like 100 cards, and there was nothing in there that were these cards, and it turned out it was just in an entirely different deck that's not called the adventure deck, and we were like, what the heck?
But in the rule book it says adventure.
Just like wasted all this time.
I was like, I don't have these cards. I don't have them. And then I'm like, let me just look in this one, and I'm like, oh, here they are. I'm like, this is equipment.
Great,
the rule book says, look in the adventure. I'm like, what the?
Like, that's a big error.
It's a big deal. So this, I think my 2 cents on this one are what Jeff talked about a minute ago with when you have like the hive mind, you're it's like, the game so well, and the people you're playing with know the game so well. So to you all, the rule book makes sense. But you need to write a rule book to somebody who's literally never seen this before, maybe even never played games before.
Treat it like a rule book for dummies.
There was a rule book I was reading recently, I can't remember, but it mentioned like the most rudimentary basic concept that all board gamers know, and I was like, I'm happy it did that.
Yeah, because what if you never played
If you didn't know this, you would not understand that mechanism.
Right.
Like, I can't remember, like every single deck builder you play explains the deck building mechanism.
Yeah, which
Again,
we just kind of
know we
that
don't
section,
need that,
possibly.
but it's good it's in there because but if you're someone who is creating a deck building game and you're esoteric into the world of board games, and so this is like a thing that we all know what deck building means, so you might not include when your deck runs out of cards, you shuffle the discard pile back into a draw deck and continue drawing, which everyone knows, but they don't.
Right.
And so if you don't put that in there, someone, Aunt Donna from Amazon is going to get your game, and she's going to have a terrible time.
I'm going to get Aunt Donna. Get me fired up. I have something to say about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Including in this rulebook conversation, pictures are something that needs to be in rulebooks.
100%.
Yeah,
for me, whether
examples.
I need a component list that tells me what everything in the box is. So later, when you refer to the health token, or you refer to this deck of cards, or what this is, I need to be able to look at the component list, see a picture, and go, okay, this is what the health token looks like. It could be a heart, right?
Can I go one step further than that?
Because,
with your picture thing? So I love when they do a component list. But there's a game, let's talk about Tawantinsuyu real quick. Tawantinsuyu has 1,000 things. And there's a legend at the beginning that says, here's what all those 1,000 things are.
Yeah.
I need reiteration. So when you're going, because most people are not going to study that page.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a bummer to be on page 10, and then it mentions the Tawantin crystal, which is not a thing, but it mentions the Tawantin crystal card. And you're like, what the heck is the Tawantin? Now you have to go back, put a little inset of what the Tawantin crystal card is again.
Yeah.
Rulebooks
Repeat
repeat themselves enough.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like a complicated game.
Yeah. I need a setup picture. So I need a component list picture. I need a setup picture. I want to see how the board is set up, where things go. Don't say put it on this space and not give me a picture of what that is. Reiteration. Mention something. If the game changes setup at the beginning, it needs to be in the beginning.
Yes.
Like,
we just talked about
I've read rule books. I've read rule books, and then at the end, it's like, for 2 players, you do this. And I'm like, well, I just fucking set the thing up, and now I have to take these cards out.
Tell me that right
Tell
away.
me in the beginning.
Right.
The game High Rise, which I think it's a good game. the rule book is awful. I read the entire thing, and then it's like, for 2 players, just start with the full game. And I'm like, but I just set up the half game for it.
No.
You know, Dinogenics has a great rule book. So I don't know what they did, but they did it right. Again, yeah, it's like having people read it, having people who don't play games read it.
Yeah.
I actually had a conversation with the people at Resonum Games. Do you know Resonum?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of
Resonum.
Oh, I do.
Mechanical?
I wrote a very strongly worded post to Resonum on the Visitor at Blackwood Grove.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago.
So-
because that rulebook was maybe the worst rulebook I've ever read in my life.
I don't know if they've learned, but the mechanical rulebook is good, right? I don't know Blackwater's first, right? Was that their first big game? I don't know, it's not a big game, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
they might have done something
mechanical
before
is better. They're coming out with a game soon. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk, whatever. And they message people, and they messaged people, and they were like, "Hey, do you have anybody in your group that doesn't play games?" And I was like, "Not really."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Why?" She's like, "We need people who don't play this game to read the rule book and to play the game and to fill this stuff out for us." So I'm like, "Okay, you have to do stuff like that, right? You have to bring other people in to see your mistakes."
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
that's
you
smart.
want inclusiveness in this hobby, right?
Yeah.
We all talk about how we want more people to come in. That's not going to happen if you're writing these esoteric rule books that only the people who are already in the hobby know about.
Yeah.
You know?
Boom.
Right. The next pet peeve is bad box size.
Bad board game covers.
Bad board game
no.
box cover size.
Bad box size, BBS.
Oh, BBS. I've been afflicted with BBS.
This is kind of what we talked about on one of Jeff's Instagram inbox.
No one cares about that
Remember?
segment.
Remember people were complaining about
I thought today's Instagram inbox was
yeah.
Thank you.
amazing.
I thought,
So
thank you.
Yeah. Do you remember? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the box size, the big
Yeah,
boxes.
people were complaining about like
Yeah.
that was
boxes
last
being
episode.
like way too big for the amount of components or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Just being like ridiculous sizes that don't fit on their shelves or whatever. Yep, that's the next one.
What do you have to say about
Yeah.
that, guys?
No, I agree with that. I agree that some of them are just too big. Some of them are too small to jam all of that and expansions and all this kind of stuff into. Some of them are too weirdly shaped.
Right. Like
I would
wonder
say generally, I don't share this pet peeve generally. Like, I agree that, like, when I saw the picture for the first time of the Splendor box with all the components in that
Yeah.
little corner, I was like, oh my God. But I did not open Splendor upon first buying it and go, what on earth did they do here? There's no components for this box size. So I generally find that is very rare
Yeah.
that it affects me. It happened in Hansa Teutonic. No, what's the game you and you played, Jeff? That one time, Sekigahara.
Oh,
Sekigahara had a box the size of the Hansa Teutonica box, which, if you know, is really thin. But Sekigahara has these giant blocks, and
Basically the width of the box.
yeah,
is
it's
the same
basically
as those
right. It's
blocks.
basically with the
So it
box. So
had to be
getting
that
it back
wide.
in was almost impossible. It was like playing a game of Tetris just to get the box back.
Well, it's funny that you
closed.
say that because my last one is difficulty fitting components in box properly.
Well, I
after
think
you
that
open
goes
it.
hand in hand
Yeah.
with this box size issue when you're talking about box size too small. That's the only time, though, personally, where that bothers me.
Yeah.
If there's like a big, like a Splendor size box that's too big, I think it's funny to be like, ha, look at all that space. That's dumb.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Well, I feel like
upset
there's
me in
also
any way.
been games where like everything fits in perfectly when it's like on these rectangular boards unpunched, and then you like punch them and put them together, and now all of a sudden it doesn't fit really well. And
Well,
you're
so that's the thing that publishers they make the boxes specifically usually for like the punch boards, you know.
Right.
So they don't like a lot of people have pet peeves about game inserts. First of all, a lot of
I do.
publishers don't make the insert with the game in mind. You know what I mean?
It's so
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah, it's like
like
they
a
make
puzzle
it
getting
with
it back
with the
together.
production in mind.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're gonna produce it so it fits this way. But then once the game is yours and you
already
punch it out,
bought it.
the
Yeah.
insert's not our problem
like
anymore.
that insert that is just basically like a piece of cardboard in the middle that takes up a third of the box and just splits your box into two. And I'm like, well, what?
Why
what
are
am
you
I
doing that?
doing? So then the cards don't fit on the one side, and that doesn't fit on the other side. So I just throw it out. Or Meeple Land has a terrible insert. They have an insert with spots that look like things would go there.
Yeah.
And there are spots where none of anything fits. And I'm like, well, what is that spot for? What were you thinking?
Who makes that game? Do you remember?
Blue Orange?
So I think I might have what I think is an explanation for this. It might not be Meeple Land specifically, but Aaliyah has a standard insert because they have that box size, like the kind of tallish box size. They have a standard insert that they would just pump into a lot of their games. And so I had this exact question. It wasn't Meepland. It was, I think, Las Vegas. Okay. Las Vegas had spots that, to me, I'm like, this looks like there's something that needs to go in this, but I don't have it in my game. What is it? And I'm like, these spots don't fit this cardboard. And I, like, Board into Board Game Geek, and I'm like, what is up with this insert? And the response was, that's a stock insert that Aaliyah creates for a bunch of different board games. It's not like specifically made for Las Vegas, but it fits, so they put it in there. All right. And so there are some slots that are really supposed to be probably for a different game that just happen to get into that box too. So that could be a potential explanation for what's happening with Meepland. Not that makes it okay, but
how dare you try to save money and use the same product?
Yeah, you're right, exactly.
Why don't I get custom insert? Where's game trays when you need them?
Yeah, why isn't game trays in every game now? Oh, that's funny.
So back to be, I guess, more positive about production. I came up with a couple things that I love, but I'm sure you guys have a lot more than just these two. One, and I know you guys share this, is the double cardboard. I don't know what it's called.
Like dual layered?
Yeah, dual layered.
Yeah, that
double
is
cardboard all the way across the sky.
Double cardboard all the way across
the sky.
Yeah.
No, I like dual layered.
Yeah, man.
It's awesome.
Even
so
when you're
cool.
not, even when it's not like inset, even just like 2 layers of cardboard on top of each other just to make it thicker
feels better.
Nice.
Yeah. But even the inset is the best when something fits in
yep,
there,
and it just fits right in there.
You're not just setting on top of
love that.
Dinogenics fences.
Something and
no, it's really. Oh, does Dinogenics fit into a slot?
The fences fit into a slot.
Into the
grid slot.
Underwater Cities does that.
I think of Bites, so it has like the little,
Scythe does that.
The little
Bites. Bites had dual layered components.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like the apple.
The apple, and then there's like a bite taken out
of one of the layers.
Right. Yeah.
So cool. Really cool. You're right.
And then the other one is basically any components that are not cardboard and are shaped like what they represent. So like instead of a brown cube, you have a brown log, or cranberries from Everdell, or metal coins, or wooden pieces shaped like animals. Like any of that stuff I think is really cool.
Human beings are tactile
beings.
It is fun for us to handle things on our little finger pads.
Yep.
And when you hold those little berries from Everdell in your finger pads,
you squeeze them,
move them across. Yep. Oh my god!
They feel different, or kind of
that
like the eggs
gives you
from,
this additional
wingspan too. Like
right.
They look like candy, and they feel like
you want to hold them. I just want to hold one of them.
Yeah.
And it makes your experience go up when it's just cubes. You get people. You understand a little more when people complain about games with just cubes because of that tactile experience you're missing.
Right. And it kind of like if you're playing a game and you're like, oh, I get some wood, okay. But then you're like, if it's like a cute thing, you're like, I want that wood so
it's visceral. It's visceral. Yeah, the Woodleys.
And I'll tell you who knows that is board game companies. Because they know that when they put out a Kickstarter or something, hey, upgrade your cardboard to these wood things.
Premium quality.
Yeah. Oh, and Grand Austria, upgrade those little white cubes to cakes.
Yeah.
Strudels to coffee. And people are like, yes.
Please,
and there are a lot of people out there who are like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't care about that. But man, there are a lot of people who love I love that. It's
I do
so
too.
Cool.
For some reason, I like it less. I don't know why. This is weird about me. I like it less if it's third party. I don't know why. Like if there's like an Etsy shop that makes custom components for like Grand Austria, I'm not as interested. But if Lookout, it's Mayfair. If they like, we got, we printed, then I'm more like, okay, I want those. Those are the official components.
They're part of
Gotta have the official ones. I don't know why it's like that for me. Because there's a game like, let's call Hansa Teutonica, which is one of my favorite games of all time. It's literally just cubes. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they would do because they don't represent anything, really.
Right.
So it's
fine.
That's
different.
But in a game like Jeff's got the Scoundrels of what the heck's that game called?
What?
Scoundrels
of Skullport's all I can think of.
Yeah, Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep. That game is it's supposed to be all about the theme and the visceral reaction because it's Dungeons and Dragons theme, but it's a worker placement game, so it comes with these little cubes. But Jeff went out and got these. We talked about these before. They're because the cubes are not representative of cubes. They're actually like wizards.
Yeah, warriors and wizards.
Oh, right. He got the little
and so he got the little cubes. They're like the same size, but they're like laser cut to be what they are representing to be.
Right.
And just that little change makes it a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine playing New York Zoo and they were just colored cubes instead of animals? Like,
Right,
that
yeah.
would make that game suck.
Right. And it already kind of sucks. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Anything else you guys think of?
What,
that
like?
that you love?
I like the opposite of all the bad things.
Great rule book.
Yeah.
Perfect
I mean,
size box.
If I'm going to look at like a gold standard, right, and then pick apart what the production values I like on that, let's look at games from Eagle Griffin in their like the Vital Lacerda Eagle Griffin games.
Yeah, like
those
I
are the
would say
greatest
something
production
that
values.
Gets you excited.
Yeah, it's
what you
really the
expect, but what gets you
cohesive.
excited.
It's like the cohesive unit of it, all of it tied together. So when you look at like On Mars, okay, you look at your first thing you look at that you see is the box. It's huge. It's maybe the best looking art cover I've ever seen, right? Because you got Ian O'Toole's artwork. Check, boom. That's the first thing you see, blows you away. You handle the box. It is really thick, bulbous.
This bulbousy box.
Meaty, veiny box. You pick it up. No, it just feels really
Bulbousy.
boutique.
Oh,
And-
sorry.
Yeah. And so you lift the box up, and then what do you got in there? This insert that is perfectly adapted to be everything that the components are. You take the insert out, you get the components, which are fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. You lay the board out. The boards are even like linen finished.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Linen finish to me is I love that. If it's all right,
Stonemeyer does.
what do you call a pet peeve in reverse?
A like.
Okay.
I don't know. I like this.
I like this. I like my pet peeve in reverse is linen finish.
Pet.
Like, look at
love.
Jamie. I think Jamie Stegmaier would probably ensconce his entire house in linen finish if he could. I mean, the rule book for Wingspan is linen finished.
Yeah. A lot of
It is the coolest.
pendulum's the same way.
It just feels so good in your finger pads
Right in your finger
when
pads.
you are handling that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think all of it together is what to me is is what I like for production.
Yeah.
I
I was
agree.
trying to look up like what you
I don't know if I have
said,
anything
the
else.
opposite of
I
pet
also
peeve.
Yeah, it's
too.
good. I get excited for like player boards I like. I get excited for like dual layered stuff. I get excited for components that look like it. Yeah, some minis. I don't get pumped. I know people love minis. Like that's like a
Yeah.
thing. People will back anything on Kickstarter that has a bunch of sweet minis.
Yep, they sure will.
I don't get super excited for minis, but I do like them when they're in the game.
Yeah, I agree
mainly
with you.
because
I
I
don't get
play more
excited
Euros
either.
game, and those
Yeah.
don't have like minis all the time.
I appreciate
But
and
a good
it costs
one.
more in the minis vein if the minis are pre-painted. I'm starting to just
Yep.
get into painting. I haven't done it yet, but I have all the supplies, so
about
that
to
means
start
I'm
to
a
get
pro.
into painting.
And I have every intent. But when I see a game that has minis, or they have minis that are washed, they have a wash on them, or minis that are painted, I of course would always want those
Yeah.
first. They're always more expensive, so it's harder.
For sure.
But there's just something about just putting a wash on a gray mini versus just a gray mini that's just like it increases the immersion, because that's what these games are trying to do for you, is to immerse you into an experience. And if you are taken out of that immersion by any one of these pet peeve production things, that you're going to notice that,
Yeah.
and you're going to talk about it and not like that. So that's why I talk about the cohesive experience together, where you're clicking on all cylinders, everything's working for you. So that's all I got there.
Awesome. Well, that concludes Natalie's Nook.
What
Oh,
a
that was
fantastic
wonderful.
Look that was for me.
Nookalicious.
You think I would have known it? I just
incredible.
crawled out of that after being in it
Yeah.
for so long.
Hey, let me add something.
Yeah,
Now, you mentioned bad board game covers, and I need to
I
to
didn't.
rewind.
I did.
Ryan did.
I said
I
it.
said bad board.
I
covers.
said bad
Yeah,
board game
Ryan did
covers.
I know.
So let's rewind a few weeks ago when yours truly, the Mad Board Gamer, became the
who you are?
two-time champ of the bracket. Thank
wow,
you
we
very
hadn't
much.
talked about this.
No, because it's been months.
Oh,
So,
dude, you know
I
what?
won, and I beat the nicest person on the planet,
I know.
Michaela from the McMeeples. She was way nice, and then she put this like wonderful video out, like thanking
know.
everybody, and then I just felt like a huge asshole, but I won anyway.
You won anyway. Two-time
So,
champ.
Sorry, Michaela.
I
love you, but I won.
I apologize to you, my friend, because I had planned, before my life just went to shit, I had planned on doing this pre-recorded intro about you winning, like having this background music, like
Like a celebratory.
yeah, this celebratory thing about Jeff winning the Bad Board Game Covers bracket.
Now, I also want to say something, because this is like, oh, well, you know, I'm recruiting votes and blah, blah, blah. Okay, now let me tell you this. They're doing another bracket. Have you seen this bracket?
No.
Wait, is it the
Bad Board Game Covers is doing a Take That bracket, where Bad Board Game Covers...
I don't get it.
Sheer boredom.
Kidsplaining, sheer boredom,
they've been,
and the Board Game Critic.
And Board Game Critic,
yep.
Have all drafted a bunch of
Okay, I have seen that.
these games. So they
I've
had
seen it
a bunch
too.
of users on Instagram submit games, and then they had this like draft. Okay, so now all their games get put in this bracket. Now they're going heads up against each other. The game that I submitted, that I have not posted one story about, that I have not recruited one vote for, is now in the final four. Just so you know.
What?
I'm not going to tell you what game it is, because I don't want.
know.
Well, I'll tell you off the air.
Okay.
I don't want to tell other people what game it is, because I want that thing to win without me even touching it.
Yeah.
Just know
You
that
are
I
just-
put the
just-
game in there and then let it win.
But like
Jeff's
these-
juices turn into
I'm
gold.
confused about this Take That thing though, because it's not like the normal one. Like you don't vote on his stories, right?
That you vote on, you have to vote on one of the 4 stories. One of the 4 of them posts the different ones. So
okay.
Bad Board Game Covers will post one, and then Kidsplaining will post one.
They did
and
this
then-
whole draft.
and then Roberto will
I
post
remember
one.
the draft.
earlier.
I remember them talking
And they were
about
stealing
it.
other
So it
people's
rotates
choices.
And then
between
I'm
the
like,
4.
I'm like, I see people like vote for this, and I'm like, how do I vote?
What
for that?
do I do?
It's
I don't
confusing. You got to go to the different accounts to vote for them, because they didn't want like just, you know, if Roberto was hosting them all, then he might win. You know?
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
wanted to shift it around. But
I think it's a very cool initiative that they're doing. I would love to get Kidsplaining into the network. I've been working on them for a long time.
They
That's
too
the
cool for
only.
us?
They're the only. Well, they have not said no. They've just been. They're busy people. You can tell that
They
they're
are
busy.
busy.
And so they've both just kind of been like, you know, I'm so sorry. I have to get back to you. And you can tell that because
wanna
they
think
shouted
about
out the
it.
Gateway Network a few
Yeah.
times. But they're the only member of that bracket
She
thing
has-
who's not in the network.
she has my choice.
Really?
She does.
Kidsplaining has
Okay.
my choice. So
Or
we
you
have-
get,
we
are you
have a-
saying
we have
too
a
much?
connection.
Are you saying too much?
I don't know.
The other thing he's been doing recently,
Who's
Bad
he?
Board Game
Okay.
Covers, is that thing where he's mashing together like 2 board cover.
I
art,
love
and then
that.
he's like, come up with the name for this, and I know it's so funny.
It's cool. Some of the art
cool.
looks really
The
cool.
art, I didn't know there was a name thing going on.
Yeah,
I've been
he
in
was
some,
like-
but the
he's like-
art looks
He's
awesome.
like he's like this game with this like art, and then he puts the art together, and he's like, come up with a name for the game, and then people like submit it, and then he like posts.
Yeah, he runs such a cool account. If you don't follow him, just
amazing.
follow him.
Yeah.
Just pull your car.
we talk
over
about
right
him.
now
We
and
talk
follow
about
him.
him a lot too. We
Yeah.
really
Well,
like,
that's because
The
he's got
Haitian
cool
sensation.
stuff.
He's awesome.
he's very awesome. He's helping me with the insties. He's putting together the insties
Like
rollout template.
Oh, cool.
So when that eventually happens, hopefully sometime this month.
So sorry to interrupt and talk about my championships.
No, that is
but
all
it's
good.
all good.
2-time champ.
So the Gateway Network has some really great members in it. Right now, you can listen to Gabi sort of kind of insult one of them. The Super Board Sunday guys.
Ever been extremely busy during the week? You're tired, you're exhausted, you've had a lot going on. Come Saturday, you're still doing lots of stuff. Then you think to yourself, I want this Sunday to be a boring Sunday. I want to be bored out of my mind, and I don't want regular bored. I want this to be a super bored Sunday. Well, have I got a podcast for you, starring Brian, Frankie, Jim, and Christian. These guys will make sure that you have a super bored Sunday. Just listen to their content. You'll be asleep in minutes.
It has been a long time since we've played a game on the show. You'd have to go all the way back to the last episode we did to find the last game we played. And so I thought, since it's been so long, we should probably do another one.
I agree.
What do you say?
I'm in.
So this game is just for Jeff. And you all at home, I suppose. It was inspired by an episode of The Big Bang Theory where Howard plays a game called Emily or Cinnamon, okay? In this game, he gives his friends actual quotes that Raj has said, and they have to guess if he said them to his girlfriend Emily or his dog Cinnamon. Questions like, I want you to know the bed feels so lonely when you're not in it. Did he say that to Emily or Cinnamon? Okay.
Oh my
So
God.
I thought we'd play a similar game called Husband or Hobbs or Me or Mac.
Okay.
The same game. Actual quotes Natalie has said. And Jeff,
Oh, boy.
you have to guess if she was talking to me or the dogs?
Okay. Do you know this existed, Natalie?
No, he didn't tell me. All he told me, he's like, this game is for you, but you can't play. I'm like, what?
Oh, man. I thought it was just going to be board gamer bullshit, and because pretty good at that when you're like, you guys don't want to play, but I'll just sit and guess.
Jeff likes it. Yeah. I do have fun coming up with those. All right,
do I have to pick between, is it just dog, like Ryan or dog?
Me or dogs. Yeah, you can say Ryan.
I don't have to know if it's Hobbs.
No. It's okay. So there are 10 direct quotes from this woman here.
Okay.
Did she say them to me or to the dog?
Okay, so now you're just going to read them because if you go really high pitched, that's a dog, right? You're going to read them straight. Got it.
Okay, number 1. Right. You're just my little man. Pat, pat, pat.
What is she said the words pat, pat, pat?
No, she's
tapping you. You're just my little man. She said that to Ryan.
Correct.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
That's wrong.
No, that's not wrong. No, that's not wrong.
It's Mac all the time.
All right, here we go. Number 2. If you come inside,
okay,
I'll give you a cookie.
Oh no. God, I really wanted to be Ryan, but there's no way. Well, maybe.
I said you're just my little man.
Yeah.
It's probably not a bedroom quote.
If you come inside,
Oh my God, bedroom
I'll
quote.
give you a cookie.
I'm going to say you said that, Natalie, to the dog.
Correct.
All right.
Number 3.
Okay.
Who's my handsome man?
Oh, who's my handsome man? Oh, who's my handsome man? Oh, Ryan. Oh, dog. Mackers, who's my handsome man? You said that to the dog.
Correct.
All right.
Maybe this is easier than I thought. Jeff's also really good at these games.
Yeah.
Okay. I really did this to see Natalie's reaction.
Yeah,
it's everything
great.
I hoped for. Number 4.
We should record it and send it to the Patreon backers.
I even got the first one wrong.
We should. I know. We should. Okay. To be fair, you have said that to both of us. Number 4. Ugh. OMG. He farted again, and it smells terrible.
That could be. Oh, here's what I know. Ryan doesn't fart.
Oh.
So you said that to the dog. Yeah.
Oh, Jeff knows.
Ryan has not farted or peed in years.
The dog farts. He knows that.
Number 5. Hey, you want to go for a walk?
I'm assuming. Let me paint.
Actual direct quotes.
Hey, you want to go for a walk? She said that to Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
was
She
gonna
probably
say-
coached you. You were sitting there and she was like, hey, you want to go for a walk?
Here's the thing. You can't say the word walk in front of the dog. So if I'm going to actually take them on a walk, I just
Call it like a W, or do you
I
call
call
it
it
like
a W,
yeah.
or I just put their leash on without telling them.
Dogs are eventually
They'll
going to figure out
freak
what a W is.
I know.
They'll get there.
Well, I yeah.
Especially Mac.
I'll just be like to the kids, be like, want to take the dogs for a W?
All right, here we go. Good job. You're 100% so
Ooh,
far.
all right.
Number 6. You've been laying around all day. You need some exercise.
She said that to you.
Yeah.
You've been laying around. Listen here, you lazy pieces. Let's go take a walk and do something.
Yeah. Number 7.
Have you been writing these down when she says something to you?
I just lock them away.
Yeah.
I was
Most
like,
of them
how
are
do you
like
come up with these?
so
Yeah.
simple. A couple of them I was like, oh yeah, she did say that. You could apply that to either me or the dogs.
Hey,
Number
hey,
7.
You want to go for a walk?
Hey. You want to go for a walk? Do you want to go for a walk,
No.
Ryan?
No.
Right.
No.
That's always the answer.
Okay.
I don't want
For a
to.
walk.
And then I have to force it.
Number 7. He just really seems to love Boom Boom Pow
Boom Boom Pow.
by the Black Eyed Peas.
Is that like a song?
Yep.
He
by the
just
Black
seems
Eyed
to
Peas.
love. I don't know if Ryan likes Boom Boom Pow. That's on his playlist. He's an old school rock kind of guy. He probably doesn't like the Black Eyed Peas. Natalie said that to the dog.
The dogs! Correct!
All right.
Mac will actually howl if you play that song, and only that song.
Every time you
That's
play
funny.
Boom Boom Pow. No other Black Eyed Peas song.
No.
Other song
No
on the-
other song.
Yeah, no other song on the planet. But that song, every time.
Does he like it
without
or hate
fail.
it? He seems
We have no
happy?
clue.
I don't know.
okay.
But
No, he
just sits
seems-
there. It's almost like there's something in that song that
Trigger. He just goes.
He just howls. howls and like
The whole time.
It's so funny because the kids think it's.
It'd be better if
hilarious.
Ryan howled during it.
I know.
Yeah. We
I
all
howl
think
during
it's
other
hilarious,
songs.
except Ryan, and so like
hate
Ryan will
it.
like go somewhere, and the kids will be like, "Dad is gone. Can we play Boom Boom Pow?" Back and sing.
That's funny.
Number 8. Jeff, you are 7 for 7
Oh,
so
man.
far. Number 8. Ugh.
Wow.
Stop licking the plate. That's disgusting.
Oh man, she said that to you.
Yep.
To Ryan.
Really? I feel like I'm giving it away.
No, I would have guessed Ryan.
I'll be sitting on the couch and I look over and he's just like,
What are you licking off the plate? Just whatever was
Everything.
there.
I don't waste
You're in the
a thing.
Clean Plate Club.
Waste not. I'm in the
Yep,
Clean
he
Plate Club. Yeah, Miss
definitely
Cropstorian really did a number on me.
Yep, Clean Plate Club.
Okay. Number 9. Did you have fun talking to your friends?
Oh my gosh. Why would you say that to the dog? Did you have fun talking? Oh, did you have fun talking to your friend? Oh, Hobbs, did you have fun talking to your friend? Or did she call
Kind of sound like Miss Swan, only American.
Did she call Ryan and go, hey, Ryan, did you have fun talking to your friends? In what situation would you have talking to your friends? You just hang around talking to your friends. Like one night you were hanging out with Chris and Dave. Oh, did you have fun talking to your friends, Ryan? This one's tough. This is the hardest one, I think. Man, I'm going to say you said it to the dog.
9 out of
Yeah.
9.
Okay, yes. All right.
All right.
that's the thing.
Who were they
too.
talking
Go ahead and
to?
tell him.
So Mac doesn't really like Hobbs barks. Mac like never barks except for between like 9 and 10 p.m.
Every
at night.
night.
He wants to go outside so he could run to the back of the yard and bark with his friends. Because
talk to
I've-
the dog.
The other dogs will
I've
bark
stuck,
back.
I've stuck my head out there and I hear other dogs
like friendly,
barking,
right?
And then he's barking, and so we always are like, oh, he wants to go talk to his friends.
Yeah.
All right.
So finally comes in. I'm like, she's like, oh, did you have fun talking to your friends?
Oh,
And he's just like,
yeah.
sometimes he'll go out at 9. He'll come in at 9:05, and she's like, they weren't there today. How's your friends?
What are they doing? Are they
busy? Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny.
And the last one, number 10. Ow! Stop biting me.
Oh, man. I'm going to go with the opposite. She said that to you.
Yes. Yeah. 10.
Yeah.
Oh, don't bite me. You, my husband bites.
So do you understand now? It was only for Jeff, but it was really
It was
for
definitely
you.
very entertaining for me.
That's funny.
Oh,
Oh, my
Jeff,
face. My face hurts. Thank you.
congratulations!
Thank you.
10 out of 10. I guess the game was too simple, but
No, it was fun.
It was really fun.
but that was husband or Hobbs or me or Mac. It's been a long time since we've recorded, and honestly, I didn't want to. I haven't wanted to. It's been really depressing for me lately, and I really just don't want to even move most of the time. Jeff has been really encouraging me to get recording again, as he thinks it might help, to get back out there. And he was right. This has been so much fun doing this episode
It
today.
has been fun.
Yeah, my face hurts from laughing.
Yeah, that was really,
I feel
really
like we
great.
just picked up where we left off.
It was so.
Oh,
yeah.
Ryan, do you want to record an episode? Yes, I do. Do you want to record an episode?
While we were discussing a top 5 for the episode, he also came up with an idea that just really was awesome. As I said earlier, we called my dad the D. And so Jeff's idea, as you might have guessed, was why don't we do a top 5 list of games that start with the letter D? As sort of a tribute for the D.
For the man.
And I loved that.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that was so perfect and apropos. So this time I want to go Jeff, Natalie, me. And let's hear it, Jeff. What is your number 5 game that starts with the D?
Boom. So I suggested this, and then I looked at games that start with a D, and I'm like,
You're like,
this is
there's
a tough
like
list.
3.
This is a tough list
yeah,
to make.
it's really not that
Oh,
many.
boy.
I do have a bunch.
I have a bunch too, but ones that I
Oh, I guess it was
really
easy for me, huh?
But ones that I really
Oh, it was tough.
like.
Yeah, it was tough. I wasn't tough.
Well,
I have a
no,
lot.
I'll tell you this. First, I looked at games I owned. And I'm
Yeah.
like, there's only 3 games. What the hell? And then I looked at games I played. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
there's a bunch
that's what
more.
I did.
Okay.
I did the same exact thing.
Oh, my God. Oh, isn't that just so cute? Oh, did you guys look at the same list?
Handsome little man.
Oh, who's my handsome little man?
Me! That's me!
I do say that to the dog.
That's funny. My number 5 is I'm gonna use both games. I'm gonna call it Dungeon Lord / Dungeon Pets.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
So that both of those games I would put as number 5. Heavy, difficult games, but what's cool is you kind of play the opposite of what you think, right? In Dungeon Lord, you're fighting the good guys.
Yep.
So you're creating bad
you
guys.
are the bad guy.
Yeah, which I think is kind of a cool game.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a heavier game too. It's got like even Dungeon Pets has like a fun theme, right? But it's like because you have these
taking care of
crazy
these
monster
pets that
pets.
are monsters.
But it's a heavy worker placement game. So that's my number 5, Dungeon Lords
Very cool.
/ Pets.
I personally like Dungeon Lords a lot better than Dungeon Pets.
I would agree with that. But people love the pets.
I was going to say, but yeah, everyone else seems to like Dungeon Pets a lot more. Interesting. Maybe because of the theme. Natalie, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Dark Stories, which is just like a super fun little guessing game. Like you tell a dark story scenario and you have to guess what happened.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a million times.
Yeah. Million
but
times.
This game would not be on a list outside of the United States because I think it's called Black Stories.
Yeah, Black Stories.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Awesome. Very good choice. My number 5 is a game that we just recently got rid of only because we played it so many times. It's a game that I believe Jeff introduced us to a long time ago, and it's called Deception, Moida in Hong Kong.
Oh, you moided me.
You moided me. I got moided. This is a fantastic like social deduction type game, which we've played a ton. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We played the stuff out of it, and so we finally felt, let's move it on to someone else who can appreciate it for the first time. That's my number 5. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
Nice. That was going to be my 4. I'm swapping.
Nice, do it.
My number 4 is called Detective Club.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Detective Club is a cool game. It really like immerses you into a story. My students love playing it. Hopefully when we can actually like sit in the same room and we can play it again. Great art. It's just it's like it's a party game. Somebody doesn't know what the picture is or what the word is, but they still have to play cards and try to blend in. And I think it fixes some of the bad things about some of those games where someone's left out and doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Detective Club is good. It's a blue-orange game, very family-friendly, kid-friendly. I would look at that one.
I think that won't be the last game with detective in the
I was
game
going
going
to
up
say
on
the
Jeff's
same
list.
thing. There's a lot of
But I
detective.
don't know. All right, Natalie, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is one we played recently, probably maybe the most recent.
Oh, I know what it's going to
Dwellings of Eldervale.
be. Yeah, Dwellings of Boringvale.
Boringvale.
Duelings
I had
of
a fun
Easterville.
time playing this game.
No, it's a good game. That was just what you might not remember because it was over a month ago.
That's right.
I just called it like 1,000 different
Yeah,
names.
that's true. But
Yeah.
this is kind of a newer, probably maybe the newest hot D game.
That sounds bad.
That's a hot D game.
Some doesn't sound right there. Very good.
Yes.
You let Natalie play all these D games?
It's kind of a turn on.
At first, when he said, well, I mean, you did say games that start with a D, but another fun fact about Ryan's dad is that he was very into his hobbies, and his hobbies were like the most manly hobbies you can have.
Guns,
True.
cars,
Yeah.
guitars.
Hunting, fishing, and
Yep.
so at first I
Hot
was
rods.
like, what if we did games that are like all of this is like interests? But no, this
Yeah,
is
there's
better.
not a ton of hunting games out there. There's games about
Fishing
cars,
games,
though.
There's car games.
There's some music games.
Music
Not that
games.
good. This is better. The D. All right, number 4 for me was Dark Stories. I think I'm going to pull a Jeff and swap it. And I'm going to... Oh, maybe I don't want to put this one, though, because I don't want to steal Jeff's thunder here.
You can do it.
Number 4 for me is Dark Stories.
Yeah.
Every time I say that, you're like, who cares? It's
Yeah,
a
who
game.
cares?
Yeah.
Fantastic game. Well, I kind of wanted to call attention to other games because these aren't necessarily... These are just 5 really,
not, like,
really
in a
good
category.
games. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not like in an order
Right.
necessarily.
Yeah.
So if Jeff doesn't say this game, which I know he will, then we'll say this game is my number 4. So anyway, Jeff, what is your number 3?
My number 3 has had a name change. It might, if it was on anybody's list, it would be on Ryan's. This game is now called Diamant.
Oh, Diamant.
Diamant?
It was actually called Diamant first.
Diamant. Oh, okay.
And then it's Ink and Gold, and then now
so
now they're
now it's
re-releasing
back.
it as
So
Diamant.
you might know this as Ink and Gold. I have a copy that says Ink and Gold on it, but how do you say it?
I don't know. I've always heard
Diamant.
it pronounced Diamant,
Diamant.
but it could be Diamond.
But Diamant. But it's Ink and Gold. If you have Ink and Gold, it's the same game.
AKA.
Yep.
So I went.
Yeah, weirdly, it was Diamant first. Then maybe the rights have reverted back to whoever Diamant was
Yeah,
through.
okay. That's
'Cause I think
such
Rio
a fun
Grande-
push your luck game.
Oh yeah,
It's
love
just
it.
like
Natalie hates it.
Just
but we
keep
love
going into the cave.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Can't stop.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
All right, Natalie, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Dominion. It's one of the games that probably one of the earliest games I ever owned before even our.
I forgot that you owned that.
collections merged.
Yeah.
We don't own it anymore, but I did play it a good amount of times, and I really enjoyed it.
It's a great game.
I'm glad someone said that because that's like the biggest one. Well, it's not on my list, but that's
Yeah.
like
Me neither. But that should be
probably
it should
the
be
biggest
on someone.
D game.
That is a great game. Number 3 for me is another recent game we played. I actually thought this is the game you were going to say before Dwellings of Eldervale, and it's Dune Imperium. We played this one with Jeff and Devin. Oh, is it really? Okay. We played this one with Jeff and Devin not long ago.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
fun.
it feels like not long ago. It was probably a month and a
was in
half or
January.
so
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And I had such a good time with this game. And thinking about it afterward, I only think of it fondly. And I just think like, I want to play this again.
Yeah.
This was really fun.
Same.
So that's number 3 for me, Dune Imperium. Jeff, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Dead of Winter, which
I knew that was
is
That's the one.
that game's
That's not the
good.
one.
Oh, okay.
I
think he's gonna
like.
say it.
I'm not drawn to zombie themes very
Yeah.
much. Zombicide is fine. We kind of played it too much, and I don't really want to play anymore.
Agreed.
Even though there's a new kind of thing coming out, like Western zombies.
Yeah, it's all the same crap.
So and I never got into like The Last Night or something. I never got into it, but Dead of Winter for some reason stands out to me as just a better zombie game because it's not all about the zombies.
Yeah.
Right? It's about surviving. It's kind of like
The Walking
The
Dead.
Walking Dead before. I'm assuming there's a Walking Dead board game now at some point.
A lot. There's a
think
But yeah,
there
but
is.
this
Those are
was
definitely
like,
a lot.
you
There's
could ignore the zombies in this game. Like you gotta have to address them sometimes, but the game is just
It's more
the game's
than just
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're more playing the player's table because
Right.
one of you might be a traitor.
And all these cool like
And the
crossroads. And then
yeah.
as we would play, we would be like crossroads.
Please
and
don't
we'd
be
get so pumped.
lonely. See you at the crossroads. Yeah, that's a
Number
good
two.
pick. I knew that was going to be on there too. I think I could have put this one in. It might not be on your list. All right, Natalie, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Decrypto. Remember that game?
Oh,
Heck
that's
yeah,
a game.
That's my number 9.
It is.
remember
That was.
that one.
I thought that was a fun
I
game.
did- I did
remember at first we struggled. Like, how do you play this game?
And then teaching it was so difficult.
teaching it was hard, but the few times that we played it, I thought it was really fun.
I agree. Very cool
It's
game.
like
Kind of like a
kind of
Codenames sort of.
Yeah, or like a yeah.
I only played it once at that Gen
At
Con
Gen
we sat
Con.
down, but I didn't
really
play
fun.
after
We played it at work at game night at work
Yeah,
a
it
bunch,
seems like a
and
good
it
one
was
there.
really fun.
That's where we played.
But it was always so tricky to teach it. You
Yeah.
explain it, and people are like, "What?"
because
And
you
they
gotta
were
give a
like,
clue
"Gotta-"
enough to that
Yeah.
person knows,
Or-
but not the other person.
Yeah,
Something,
and
right?
then
you kind
you
of have
give
to just
them-
play and be like,
Yeah,
just
like,
see
let's
how-
play it a couple
I'll show you how
rounds.
it goes. Yeah.
But that was ultimately its undoing for us and why it's
Yeah.
not around anymore because it was just a little bit in a game like that, like a party game. You really want to just jump in and play it. And this one, you always had to like, if you're playing with new people, you always had to like get through that learning curve, and it was
Yeah.
just a little too much for it. That's a good
But
choice.
it was a fun game.
So I'll just wait. My number 2 is the D&D adventure game system. So I
great
played
choice.
these games with the game group that Jeff plays with now, Bill and all those guys.
Forgot about
Way
those.
back. I think before Jeff was really... You played a little bit of those with us or no?
Yeah, I played the last Chardalon, I think.
Okay.
I played the whole last set with you. Where your little guy could like flip
Drist.
around.
Yeah.
Or Drist, yeah, when we played.
Yeah, that was Drist. Right. So we went through the Castle Ravenloft, Wrath of a Chardalon, and Legend of Drist.
Maybe I played the
Excuse
last
me?
two, but whatever.
Did you play a Chardalon
Yeah,
too?
bless you. No,
Yeah, right. These are like settings in D&D.
yeah.
Okay.
Right. And there's more now that have been out. There's
Mm-hmm.
like 2 more, I think. But anyway, we played all 3 of those. It took about a year and a half to go through those. Every Monday or Tuesday, whatever time we were playing, we would just go through a scenario or 2.
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawler, dice rolling, fighting.
Cooperative,
Yeah.
style minis kind of game. You probably would hate it.
Probably.
I loved it. It was so fun for me.
Yeah.
Well, because we originally got together around Hero Quest, and that was this kind of game. Except Bill couldn't play with us because he was like the dungeon master. So then we got Arkham
Gotcha.
Horror, so he could play with us. And I always kind of hated Arkham Horror, and Bill loved the snot out of that game. Played it like 70, 80 times, and maybe more. But I never really identified with it. And then we found these D&D games, and I was like, oh, this is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And so they're so great. So that's my number 2, the D&D adventure game system.
That's a good one. I probably would have put that because that was just so fun, and it was the group. I think we just had so
the
much
group
fun
dynamic was
with it.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've been watching Big Bang Theory a lot lately, and you just reminded me of when they're playing Dungeons and Dragons and Howard.
Oh
is
my gosh, as the dungeon
is
master?
Dungeon master for the first time, and
Oh, he like does these
he
voices.
does all
Yeah.
these
Sheldon's so like
impersonations.
Yeah, Sheldon
enamored. He's
loves
like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he
Yeah.
does like impersonations
like, oh,
of
see?
celebrities.
You're playing D&D.
Yeah.
You're
So
playing D&D.
funny.
This whole apartment is playing D&D. Yeah, Al Pacino. All right, Natalie, what is your number?
it's Jeff.
What is your number 1?
I'm gonna give a defect before I give my number 1.
Ooh,
So
a defect.
the D
defect?
no, the D
Yeah.
fact.
Okay,
and
let's hear
now
it.
So the D, at some point, I had the honor of meeting the D, and I was introduced as Joe and Dave's brother, and
You became the only one he remembered.
For a while, all of me, so my brother Joe, my brother Dave, and me were all
Joe,
right?
They were all Joe.
They were all just Joe. And at some point, he called me Jeff, and it was like, holy shit! Like, what a step that I am now Jeff. Like, he knows me as separate from just all the Joes. Like I picture when I came in the house that he just saw a Joe, and he was just like, all of you are Joe.
There's another
you
Joe.
all look the same.
Like, if we were all in the same area at the same time, it would still be Joe and Joe and Joe.
Medium Joe, little Joe.
Yeah, and it was just like, so that was just so when I was able to be called Jeff, it was just like, yes.
And you were the only one. Poor Dave, even though he played guitar at Dave's wedding, was still Joe.
Yep. Who's that Dave guy? Oh, we got him a Julie's gift.
Yeah, he's like, wow, thank you. It's good to see you. And he turns around and looks at me and he's like, shrugs his shoulders like, who was that? I'm like, that was Dave Madigan. You just played guitar at his wedding last month, and he's thanking you. And he was like, oh, yeah. Like, how do you not remember that?
In his own world.
He's like, oh, yeah, I remember the guitar.
It's in his own world. It's in his own world. Yeah,
So-
dude, he liked you a lot. He liked you a lot. Enough that he learned your name.
Yeah, and that's big. So my number one is Detective, a modern crime board game.
Yes, it is.
That's number one. That was the only thing that I was like, all right, here's one, and now let me figure out the other.
Yep, what are the rest? Of course.
Game is just so awesome. I love being immersed in that game and just.
Well, and crime's really popular right now.
And crime is really popular. So
I know that's never going to die.
No,
That's never going to go away. That was really fun.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Number one.
Okay, well, my number one was Dune Imperium,
Awesome.
but I'll just, to name another D game, I'll just pick another one off the list.
Okay.
And it's going to be Doodle Quest.
All right. Number one. Wow, I can't believe, how did it make it to number one? Doodle Quest is a good game. It's number
it's
7
cool.
on my
It's
honorable
one of
mentions.
the better kid games.
Right.
Although kids get very mad because they're not very good
It's
at
really
it.
hard.
Yeah.
But
for
I
kids.
enjoy it.
I'll bet they would do better at it now. But do ba ba do ba do.
And that's the dog show. See you next time, gamers.
Remember
Goodbye.
yesterday?
The doy dot the basket
You're
dog.
trying
That's
to-
number one for me.
Oh my god.
Number one. The doy dot the basket dog.
All right.
That's so funny. Remember yesterday you were trying to tell me that something shipped and you were just like, it was already delivered. I mean, it was delivered. It was delivered. It was delivered. I mean,
I could not get delivered out of my mouth. I could not stop saying the word delivered.
Oh, man.
So that was a precursor to the D.
Yep.
Yes, number one for me, the doy dot the dasket. Also, first, let's go back to number 4, which I said was Dark Stories. What I wanted to sub out for Dark Stories, which is my number 6, which just missed the cutoff, is D-Day Dice.
Okay.
First of all, it's got just D. The D-Day Dice.
Yeah.
Me and Jeff played this so much when it was one of your first games you bought.
Yeah, I was really in.
So Jeff
in my
was like
first.
just starting to get into games, and we played. We would have this World War II Sunday.
Yeah.
Jeff would come over. We'd watch football, right, and we would play
Like they did in
Memoir
World War II.
44. We'd play Memoir 44 and D-Day Dice.
Yep.
Like just back to back, and we always would lose the first time or two at D-Day Dice, and then we'd finally break through.
Felt so good.
It was so great because that game is hard.
Yeah.
But man, is it fun! I want to play that again with you a lot. I would really like to play.
Yeah,
some
I
D-Day
still
Dice.
have it. I'm gonna keep it because I
That
don't
is
play it very
such
much,
a
but
good
I just
game.
have the memories.
Don't get rid of
it,
that. Yeah,
so-
ever. And if you do,
Yeah, that was on my
I want it.
next list because I just haven't played it in so
Yeah,
long.
no, of
But
course,
yeah,
of
it's
course.
awesome.
I just have really good memories
Yes.
of that, which is apropos for this list as well because
Yep.
it's all about
Yeah.
memory. So my number 1 is a game that I have played. Gosh, I've played this so many times. I've been every character in this entire game.
I kind of thought it was Dedoy.Daskadal.
Every character in this game multiple times. I'm just kidding. I've only been the wizard. Defenders of the Realm is my number 1 game that starts with the D. I'm surprised I don't have this now because what we used to do is when I lived closer to the group, we would make a point not to buy the same board games, right? To kind of cross-pollinate. I just wanted to say that. So Bill had a bunch of games that I loved, but I wouldn't buy them because I would only play them with that group. But now that I don't play with that group anymore, I'm just surprised I haven't bought it because, well, maybe not so surprised because Natalie doesn't like those games. But anyway, Defenders of the Realm is basically Pandemic in the fantasy world, and man, is it fun.
It's way better than Pandemic.
It is so much better than Pandemic. It's so great. That's my number 1.
It's
Defenders
probably
of
better
the
than
Realm.
being in a pandemic.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience. So, do you guys have honorable mentions?
Yeah. I had Defenders of the Realm.
Okay.
I had Deception, which would have been on the list, but you had it, which I want to switch. Dune, I had Dinner in Paris was one that I really liked recently.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Draftosaurus was one that's pretty good that my students like a lot.
That is cool.
And I think that was it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have Detective, Decrypto, Dungeon Lords, Doodle Quest, and then D-Day Dice, which ended up being number 4.
Besides what you guys said, I also have Dragon Castle, Deep
yeah.
Blue, and
Deep
Drop
Blue.
It.
We had
Drop It
That's
is
a
Drop
good.
It.
Good
Yeah,
one.
I remember Drop It. Drop it. Push it. Suck it.
Yep, that was, yeah.
Back it. Hump it. Okay. So that's going to do it for us tonight, everybody.
On that
If
note,
you would like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Instagram at Gamecasters or at MadBoardGamer. Both of those accounts service the podcast. We also have a Facebook group. Just search Gamecasters and you'll find us there. You can also email us at thegamecasterspodcast@gmail.com. We have an incredibly barren board game geek guild, which Natalie refuses to join. Not that it matters. No one does anything on there anyway, but if you'd like to head on over there, Jeff tries, but it doesn't ever, nobody goes there. We are Guild 3678. If you like the show, we'd also love it if you consider giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen that allows you to rate us. We've also got a Patreon now. If you want to support the show, feel free to head on over to patreon.com/thegamecasters. There's also a merch store where you can find all sorts of different Gamecasters, Mad Board Gamer, Gateway gear. So head on over to redbubble.com/people/Gateway Network. So for Natalie and Jeff the Mad Board Gamer, I am Ryan, and you have been listening to The Gamecasters. Good night, everybody. He went there, baby.
He went there, baby.
he went there, baby.